To the show. My name is Alfred Amuzu. Today is May 20th, 2023. Today we have two important topics to discuss. First one is going to be about the IMF deal with Ghana and all the conditionalities that comes with it. Second one, we will be looking at the conundrum of running for parliament in Ghana, the provisions of Article 94.2, and I will be joined here today by a good friend of mine, speaks for the NDC, Mr. Wafayao, and Dr. Ato Kwaminad would also be joining us. And if we are lucky, I believe FR would also be joining. If you haven't already done so, please share the link. This is the Ghana Agenda. My name is Alfred Amuzu. We'll take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back to start the conversation. Please tell a friend to tell a friend. The Ghana Agenda is on, and we are discussing the IMF deal and the conditionalities that comes with it. We would be right back to continue our discussion. All right, welcome to the show. My name is Alfred Amuzu. I apologize sincerely for the lateness today. We had a bit of difficulties coming on, but we fixed that now. I hope my sound is clear and you can hear me wherever you are. Again, my name is Alfred Amuzu, and today is May 20th, 2023. And today we are talking about the $600 million that has been released to the Bank of Ghana and the subsequent flows that will go to the bank as part of the $3 billion deal that they have reached with the IMF for an extended credit facility. It comes with conditions. We want to look at each of those conditions and why we should be or not be excited about this deal. I'll be joined by a good friend. He's already in the studio. Let me bring him on so we can start the conversation. Please, if you haven't already done so, share the link so others can join. Again, we are on every Saturday from 2 p.m. U.S. Eastern Standard Time. And if you're in Ghana, I believe that will be 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. Ghana folks, please correct me. Now, the second thing we want to talk about is the conundrum of running for parliament in Ghana if you were to hold an allegiance to another country, or if you were to be a citizen of another country. So on the case of Kwesi, that has just been ruled on by the Supreme Court, And so we'll look at the provisions in the Constitution itself, Article 94, and do a little bit of the decision that just came down. Even though the reasons for the decision hasn't been released quite yet, we will still kind of consider the whole process of running in Ghana in the capacity in which he did, and the subsequent lawsuits and judgments from the High Court through the Appeals Court all the way through the Supreme Court for an interpretation which has just been released. Let me bring in quickly my guest so we can start the conversation. Welcome to the show, Ofayao. Can you hear me, Ofayao?
Yes, sir. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir. And I also have Kojo DC, who has just joined. Kojo DC, thanks for joining. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Amazu. How are you?
Pretty good. Yeah. All right, so guys, I've had some little difficulties this afternoon trying to get on. I don't know if the cyber guys are, paying a little attention to us, but we were able to resolve that amicably, and we are here. So it's a good day. We would do justice to the two issues stable for discussion. We want to talk about the money we just received from the IMF, or the extended credit facility arrangement that we just went into the IMF, and the associated conditionalities that comes with that, and what the Ghanaians should expect. Should they be excited? Is this something we should all be praying to support? And if we don't support it, what are the ramifications? What are some of the consequences of not following through with this arrangement that really is in the ECF, or the Extended Credit Facility? The second thing, again, would be running for parliament when you have a dual citizen setup, or if you have an allegiance to another country, in the specific case of Kwesi. With that much ado, I think we should start the program. I believe I see that Yao, you may have been logged in twice, but I only brought you in one time. So anyway, welcome to the show. How's everybody doing?
I'm good, and everybody is fine. Good afternoon.
Great. Afternoon. Kojo, how are things on your side? Okay, I think Kojo is on mute. All right.
Yeah.
We would also be joined maybe by my brother, Dr. Ato Komina. That's so. And then I believe Afa might also be coming. But let's start with you, Mr. Ofayao, for preliminary comments, right? I don't know if you had the opportunity. I posted the publication by the IMF, the country report, sort of they call it, that was released on May 17th on our platform. I don't know if you had the chance to read it and look at it, but what is your general sentiment or mood with regards to this extended facility agreement that we've just undertaken with the fund? Are you excited about this? Does this kind of finally lay to rest your fears of the difficulties we are facing as a country, or Ghana is facing as a country, in dealing with its creditors? Because somewhere in January, we understand that we have suspended paying our creditors, external creditors in this particular case. And of course, you know what that does to the confidence in our economy. Now, with this agreement in place, I believe we are beginning to create some space for us to actually be able to again resume some of these payments after restructuring. We wanted to make sure that there's a negotiation with them so that we can save at least some 10 billion over the 36 months that we are going to be in this program from our external creditors, some of the bilateral agreements, which means the ones we have between countries, some of the sovereign bonds. We also want to restructure that. We've already done the domestic debt restructuring, and we still have a little piece of that to go. Are you buoyant? Are you optimistic? Are you now feeling a little bit relief from the pressure we've been seeing so far within our domestic fiscal management space.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let me use this opportunity to greet you and then also greet our cherished listeners and viewers. And then I greet all NDC USA members, especially my branch, New York branch. Chamambafo, Mr. Ansa, and Alaji Swari, and
Right.
also Alima Silva, my good friend. Okay, actually, Mr. Amuzu, with regards to the IMF, this and as you stated, we all know that this IMF issue that we it was something we in the minority or we the NDC have cautioned them several years, I may say 2 years ago, to seek for this fund in order to relieve us from our debt distress. But because they did not want to agree, they did not want to accept that really we're having problem because they were cooking figures like from 2017. Adongo, our financial committee member like Adongo have been saying it all the time, that the finance minister always cook figures. He presents. Hello?
I can hear you.
Keep
Oh,
going,
you
keep
can
going.
hear me, eh?
We can hear you, correct. Go ahead.
Okay. So they keep on cooking figures to make it look like everything was right. Meanwhile, it wasn't like that. Have you seen it? So until really reality dawned on them that they've seen that they have to go to IMF, because this IMF we cautioned them to go for it in 2021, 2 years ago, but they said no. Even we can say that the finance minister boldly came out and said, "This is what he said. Oh, I can say we are not going to the IMF. Whatever we do, we are not. Consequence are die. We are consequence are die. We are a proud nation. We have the resources. We have the capacity." These are words from the finance minister. When everything have proven that we have to go to the IMF, because before what do we call it, the COVID-19, when we saw that when they took over, debt to GDP was 56%, or which they said it was bad. But within the period of that short time before COVID, then it has ballooned from 56 to 76%, which is 200% increment. And that alone has there is no physical space. So this facility was something that they should have negotiated for earlier that will help us. But they pretended that everything was rosy, everything was going on well, and therefore we don't need it. Like I quoted, what I said right now is the speech from the finance minister. The deputy finance minister, John Kuma, also stood in parliament at the floor of parliament and told the Ghanaians that we are not going to IMF today, we are not going to IMF tomorrow. We have everything and we'll be able to do everything. So why are we in IMF now? This is the question that we want to ask. So right now that they have gone to the IMF, like you said from your initial listing, it goes with conditionalities. And Mr. Amuzu, we all know that already in the country, we know what is going on. People are overburdened already. The economy is not good. Increasing of goods and services, people are not able to cope with it. Salary is still the same. They are not able to meet with the real situations on the ground because people are suffering from what we have already. And this facility that we have gone for now, the IMF, that we tried to negotiate, even it was difficult for us before we receive it. You said it from the initial, say that for the first time, Mr. Amuzu, we suspended our paying our debt, saying that we can't pay, which has never happened before. But under this government, we have to suspend paying our debt because we have borrowed to the extent that there is no any other space and we have nothing to do and we can't pay our debt. Now that they have seen that things are no more good, and what where the opposition was saying was the right step to take, they have now decided that they will go to the IMF. Now the conditionalities are there. Instead of them to sit down and negotiate well for us to get this into, they didn't care. They were moving around, and finally they tried to solicit with other corporate bodies so that the money will be released. Right now that this money has been released, Mr. Muzu, like I was saying, already we have problems that we cannot, what do you call it, we can't solve. We are dying. Ghanaians are dying already, and these conditionalities, like the IMF, it goes with conditionalities. And as I am saying right now, some of the conditionalities is telling us that it's going to bring more hardship to Ghanaians to what we already have.
We're
And
gonna
this is
take
the
the
problem.
conditions one step at a time and kind of go into each of the conditions that we have to comply with. This is just the preliminary feelings. What are your feelings? What is your? Are you excited about it? Are you still skeptical that we haven't gotten a good deal? That's what some are saying. There's a school of thought that says we haven't really properly negotiated. We haven't developed a homegrown solution, just like we did before when we went the 17th time, this being the 18th time, that we had a SETI conference that kind of put together a homegrown solution that the IMF approved. But this time around, it wasn't something like that. But there's also an argument to be made that even if you read, the IMF publication itself, it says this is in addition to what government has called PCPEC, which is post-COVID program for economic development, right?
Yeah.
So there is a little bit of a homegrown element in there. So are you biased? Are you confident? Would you be able to add your voice to what some of the experts are saying, that the dark days of our economic troubles are going to be behind us?
I'm so sorry. I don't know if you have called me, but I just want to make sure I went away a little bit.
No, not yet. So
thank you. That's fine.
Okay. So take 2 more minutes, wrap up on that, and then we'll bring we'll bring Kojo in, and then we will go into the individual conditions and
Okay.
explain what they mean. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Like I was saying, and like you have stated also that, for me, it is not a good deal. We did not negotiate well, and also we know what our colleagues were trying to say. And even if you read the report, like you were saying, IMF from their statement have stated it clearly. I want to read it so that at least our listeners will hear. They are saying that for the report of the IMF, they are saying makes it very clear that COVID-19 took advantage of the pre-existing vulnerabilities of the economy, and that it wasn't COVID-19 that was the problem, but just that at the time of COVID-19 came, we were suffering from heightened physical and external vulnerabilities. So this is it. Like our colleagues were saying, it is not the COVID that they are trying to push the blame onto, but rather we had the problem. Our fiscal distance was not, there was no space, like I said from the beginning. It has ballooned from 56% to 76%. So these problems were there. Have you seen it? Before the arrival of the COVID. So them shifting the blame to it, that is not it at all. And IMF themselves have identified that. So what I'm trying to say is that I am not happy with it, because this is going to bring, like you said, we'll be going into the conditionalities. It is rather going to do what? Bring more problem to Ghanaians. And also, what the government is supposed to do before this the money come, they have not done it by cutting down the size of their government. They are rather creating more ministries. As I speak, funeral and what? Mortuary CEO have been created, this ministry have been created, and a CEO have been appointed. That money, the money that is coming in there, they are going to use part to provide V8, house, and everything. I don't know how many funeral homes we have in Ghana. If even the government have one, I don't even know. And then, if I may say, I may ask, is mortuary, Amuzu, am I on air?
You are on air, but
Is mortuary not part of hospital? under the management of a hospital. Why should that be separated? And these are all going to be part of the money, that the bulk money that is coming in will be used to be paying people on this. And at the end of the day, where shall we go? We shall still be at the same place. And if you look at the quantum of money that runs into people's pocket, 36 billion from what do you call auditors report. 3 billion, what will it do? So we are rather going to add more suffering to what we already have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now, let me just clarify that there hasn't been any new ministry created so far called mortuary. I mean, there is an allegation that somebody has been appointed as a mortuary director or something like that, but it's not. There isn't any ministry created. So just to clarify. All right. Kojo DC, are you? I don't know if you still can hear me, but it's gonna be you and Kojo DC. My question, and I'm gonna state this question in terms of how I personally feel, because although I ask, Wafa to tell me whether he feels confident, he said he doesn't feel confident. It's clear for me. For once, I feel like we actually have some supervision in the room, right? Because some of the things that you see in the document, which we're going to go into, some of the conditions and some of the objectives, policy objectives in the document shows that Bank of Ghana, for instance, would do sort of a monetary sort of just printing money and lending to the government in basic terms, right? And that is something that shouldn't be going on anymore, and we have to amend our banking laws to ensure that happens. And the fact that there would be this biannual review of government performance, there are indications that they put down to say the government has to make sure that there is a debt ceiling or there's a debt indicator that is being tracked, just like we track this 5% deficits of over GDP, or saying that 5% of our deficit should be within the 5% of GDP. That there should be also a debt targeting, so that we don't just go borrowing unnecessarily. So it looks like there will be some supervision in the system, and I am confident, but I'm encouraged by that, because I don't think that leaving it in the hands of the NPP or the current government that we would ever see any of these solutions ever implemented. They did not care about these things, and that is why we got to where we are. Now that we are here, Kojo DC, are you buoyant? Are you now happy that at least there would be solid resolution to our debts problems and our fiscal problems going forward?
Thank you very much, Amozu. I just have to inform you that I will not be able to show my face. It's not the reason why yesterday, when you guys were debating and going for back and forth,
right?
I was in the emergency room. My daughter was having her tonsils removed, so I was in all the time. So, by the grace of God, everything is fine. I'm monitoring her, haven't been sleeping, so my face looked like hell.
Sorry about that. Sorry about that.
That will be the reason why I will not be able to show my face, but they decide that everything is going well. And I thank you once again for inviting us to do this debate, and for God and country. Offer high greetings to you, my Deputy Communication Director, the Kakapes. Yes. Say hi to you.
Let's take the opportunity to also welcome Afame out to the show. Kakape, welcome to the show today. I don't know if you've already seen the topics, but it's been published on our platform, so I'm sure you're 100% aware. We'll have a Kojo DC address it, then we'll bring you in to also make your comment. So let's go, Kojo DC.
All right. So greetings to you, our viewers and listeners all over the world listening to us, and to my chairman here as well, which is Dennis Asari, who is the chairman of Washington DC chapter, and then our branch, our buyer, the chairperson herself, and all the officers involved. All right. You are asking me if there's any.
Are you happy? Are you happy about this deal? Are you now satisfied that finally, right?
Yes.
We have some serious, solutions tabled that would at least bring us to some discipline within our fiscal management, space.
The simple answer is yes. And then I
Okay.
would say, when we started this last year, the naysayers, especially the NDC, said this couldn't be done. We can't even have even staff agreement. We did it. They said even when we said we'll be able to make this thing by May or June, they said that could not be possible, and we are able to do it. So yes, I am, because for a good reason. My brother of fire will never be happy with it. The reason is just simple. Once the government is failed, that is the opportunity for them to capitalize on. But if you are a Ghanaian that think about the economy, this should be some kind of a relief for you, because at the end of the day, if the NDC or whoever goes to the market, MPP, CPP goes to the market, they don't write your names and say, "Oh, inflation is 41%, so your MPP get lesser, or your NDC." So this is something that as Ghanaians, we should be able to celebrate it. Is that the best way for us to do it? I don't think so. And then my brother, this is a primary, I know we'll go into details. My brother of Fire said something about, oh, they advised us to go into the IMF in 2021. We didn't listen. No, we were trying to do the homegrown solutions that we proposed the e-levy, which they fought vehemently for it. Make sure they attack it, because the reason was just simple. It wasn't a politically motivated for them, for the country to try without going to, because they want to equalize in terms of we going to the IMF, because we bashed them in 2016 for them going 2015 going to the IMF. They did the same thing, like we're doing a home growing, whatever, it never happened. They went to IMF. So most of the thing that the NDC was against, if you hear from then minority leader said, we're able to break them so that they won't have that 7 billion that were anticipated, so that won't go to the IMF. So it was all politics, and that was the reason why we're not able to do that. And we're doing that. The meaning was like, no, we are not going there. We are a proud nation, like the finance minister. Yes, we are. And I believe I believe the same today and tomorrow and yesterday. But sometimes the situation where it got to where we're not able to mobilize the revenue that we wanted in order for us not to go to IMF. The NDC fought, and they did very well. Civil societies, people who are against the government, did everything to make sure that that program did not go through, and it wasn't able to fall through. So that was the reasoning that we didn't go to IMF. It's not like we were not listening. We had a solution, and I just said this to my head when he was talking. He said something like, "Oh, we're not listening." We gave you all these conditions that we're about to talk about it. There was a condition that we have to tighten our belt. We have to squeeze some places to be able to be a sovereign country like we always want to be. But the NDC did not listen. At the end of the day, we are in there, which we'll go into details. Let me just disband some of the things that he said. He said before 2021, before COVID, our debt to GDP was 56. It wasn't the debt to GDP was 56. I can just tell you, in 2018, in 2016, it was about 56 point something, right? In 2017, it stays the same. In 2018, it actually went up. It was 61.98%. In 2019, even if you read, we'll go into details after that, it was 56.34%. Yes, it should in 2020 because of the COVID. That is true. But don't tell me that before the COVID was 2020. It was nowhere anywhere 56. Even in COVID, it was 52%. 72%, sorry. I know, not 52, 72%. So the fact that we are in IMF now doesn't mean that, yes, it's true. Ghana economy has always struggled since independence, I might say, or I will mostly I do my emphasis on the Fourth Republic. There's a very fundamental problem with our economy, which we all have to address. But the one thing that we are able to do as political people is that we play political football with our economy all the time. We accuse each other all the time. And then we realize that we are going to the next IMF, which moving forward from now, let's find a solution and we'll come into details of it. But for me, I am happy. And the NDC, whatever situation might happen, we're going
Mhm.
to do this. They should be careful of what they say now, because they can
Okay.
use people who are enlightened. At the end of the day, if on a likely event, government changes. Remember, you can't do anything. Whatever thing you're going to do under the supervision of the IMF. And like you said, you are happy for the some kind of the hand of God controlling whatever we do, sometimes which helps our economy. And
Right.
I'm so happy in that level. I must agree with you on that level. There should
Okay.
be some hand of God that controls things. And let's see how we implement this very program and see what we'll go into details, and then we'll come back with the figures and talk. Thank you very
Okay.
much.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you so much. Now, yeah, let's go to our big boss, the Deputy Communication Director of MPP in the United States, in the person of Afa Maya. Afa, if you're listening to me, I think your picture just went in and out. Well, Afa, the question I have is the same for you. Are you encouraged by the fact that, of course, we now have this program on board, and the goal is to kind of bring us into now a moderate sort of distress? Because currently we are debt distress, right?
Yes.
Are you happy? Are you confident? Are you now buoyant?
I'm happy and not happy at the same time.
All right.
Uh,
Wow.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thanks to everybody. Greetings to our big bosses in Ghana, our big bosses here in the US.
Right.
Um, I say we are waiting to hear a resounding victory from Komau. It's gonna be victory for MPP here. We're gonna show that we're still strong.
Is that what is the name? Your guy, the chairman went to miss race.
We
All
can
right.
say that. Yeah, but anyway, that's just by the way.
Mhm,
So thank you very much, Amuzu, for the opportunity.
mhm.
Yes, I am happy that at least we are able to get something to cushion us to be able to take charge of all these problem of debt consolidation and to also bring macroeconomic stability. Um,
Sanity. Mhm.
yes, sanity and all sort of stuff. So in that case, yes, it brings some form of relief, and we've seen some of the results as a result of this agreement being signed,
Right.
which is fine. Yeah. So on that note, yes, I'm not, because you see, it comes with certain restrictions. You are not able to do certain things on your own. It
Mhm,
comes with do this, do that, and some form of control. And very much so, because it's normal in our relations with, when it comes to management and finance and governance and all that kind of stuff. If a country 60, 60, how many years? 66, 67 years,
mhm.
and we've gone to the IMF
18
18
times.
times. Yes. We are part of the IMF. So to an extent, when you are in crisis, it's like a family. That's fine. But it is not something that we should continuously entertain. Okay. And the
Right.
reasons that we keep doing these things are, when you take the external shocks that, brought our economy to a standstill, there are certain other factors that we should be able to do at home. And as we go, like my colleague said, Koju said, as we go into details, we're going to take some of these things and say, as a country, where do we go from here? Taxation, corruption, governance, and all these other issues that otherwise are, affecting the economy, our extractable minerals. How do
Mhm,
we get value from it? All these things are very important, and they all, in the long term, come to play.
mhm,
Creation of jobs and all these kind of stuff. So we should be able to take these things into our, but we also have to recognize that there is a blowing economic problem all around the globe, and every country is having a pinch of it, and Ghana is not an exception. So yes, but I would want to see very austere measures being put in place, or to take us from this and to give us standing on our feet, in terms of shocks and all that. In fact, what the government would have to do is, all these shocks that we have, You know, that 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 helps in times of this thing. We have to build them. Our external reserve, you know, our local handling of the economy, creation of jobs, industrialization, to be able to tax the people and to be plugged. We have to plug the tax loopholes that people are taking advantage of, for which revenue that are supposed to come to government go into some pocket. All these are very, very, very important things that we have to put in place so that we don't keep repeating ourselves of going there and have to struggle to get all these kind of stuff and stuff like that. So yeah, let's see how things go, and hopefully this will be the last time, even though I have my
All
doubt.
right.
Thank you.
All right. Well, so I mean, if we fail to follow, the program's requirements, of course, there is what we call a consultation clause, which will require that immediately we would trigger a consultation clause with the IMF, which means they will come and perform a quick review to see why we are not following. One of the first things they will do is they'll stop giving us extra money until the consultation is over and they are able to clear us out of uh, compliance. So let me first of all now start with some of the conditions. I'm going to list 10 of them. I mean, there's an article here which actually summarizes the conditions, and there are 10 good ones, like 10 buckets that we can put them in, and then we take them one after the other. So I'm going to mention all 10, and then we'll take them one after the other. So the first one is there's going to be removal of the value added tax exemption. Okay, we'll come and explain what that is. 2, there's going to be reformation of the corporate income tax by phasing out tax holidays and exemptions. The third is there's going to be reduction of the customs exemptions. The fourth is that there's going to be increasing progressivity in the personal income tax. So I'm going to put that in the tax reforms together, the CIT, right? And then fifth, there's going to be automatic adjustments in fuel levies by exchange rate movement and inflation. So we are going to peg our fuel prices to the exchange rate and inflation. So dollar goes up, fuel price goes up. Inflation goes up, fuel prices goes up. Dollar comes down, fuel price comes down. Right?
Yes.
Then there's going to be quarterly tariff adjustments, including electricity and water tariff. So I think we've just heard that, this quarter there's one announcement that starting June or so, there's going to be some upward vision to electricity tariff. So you're going to see about some 20% increment as regular users. Between 18 to 20% is the number. There is going to be government can then employ only 0.5% of current labor force. So there's going to be a little bit of sort of a freeze on employment. There wouldn't be addictions. If there's any addiction at all, it'll be about 0.5% of what is currently there. There's going to be a limit to the rate at which the government can increase the salaries of public sector workers. There's going to be a tax to GDP ratio of 18% before the end of the 3 program. So right now, we are about 15%. Our tax to GDP, all the tax we collect in terms of our GDP is only about 15%. We want to make sure we can bring that to about 18%. And there is all kinds of, somebody says they brought a small boy and put in the Bank of Ghana to help us. But I hate when we say it like that. I hate when we say it like that because it's not a small boy, it's expert. We have technical assistants in the bank to do that. We have technical assistants in the GRA to help us develop what we call the medium-term tax strategy. We'll talk about that as well. And then there is the last one, which is a second debt restructuring exercise, domestic debts exchange program, part 2. Now, that we would also explain into detail because please don't be afraid about the next one because it doesn't mean those who currently now have their bonds exchange will go again and have some additional haircuts. No, there is a dollar dominated instruments out there that have not yet been subjected to the haircuts, and that represents about 5% of all our borrowings, and that will also be restructured. So that is coming. There's going to be a DDEP part 2. So those are the 10 conditions. Now, these conditions are going to be painful, but they are necessary to kind of get us out of the quagmire we currently find ourselves in. So let's take them one at a time. First, well, let me go back to Yao first, right? Then we'll work our way back to Efa. The first one, Yao, is that they are going to remove value-added tax exemption. So, you do enjoy some exemptions on value-added tax. First of all, they wanted to revise the value-added tax from 12% to 15% if they haven't already done so. But they give some exemptions to, I believe, some organizations. But those exemptions will go away. And it's not the only exemption. A few other exemptions have been outlined as needing to be revised. So value addiction is one, or value added tax is one. The other exemption here, blah blah blah. Okay, so let's take the value added tax first. What do you think this is gonna? How do you think this is gonna be? This is gonna unravel in Ghana on people's pockets. So when those exemptions are taken away, it would automatically cause prices to increase, right? Because now you have to pay higher value-added taxes. We are saying that there's going to be an upward provision in the value-added tax. Would this make life unbearable? And if so, what is a Ghanaian to do? Ofaya, let's go.
Thank you very much. Like I said from the beginning when I was making my this, and I told you that the conditionalities attached to this IMF is going to increase the problems of Ghanaians. That is going to make already things are not good. Ghanaians are suffering, and now Ghanaians are dying. So this is going to rather increase the government is right now ever ready to bury Ghanaians, because now the stage in which they have dug their grave for them. And now these conditionalities, if we go through all of them, you can see it clearly that government want to bury Ghanaians now. Why am I saying so? The VAT already, like you said it, they have increased it too. It has been increased already. And those exemptions, they were something that was helping Ghanaians maneuver a little bit. Now that you are going to lift it up, it means you have no exemption, you have nothing again. You have to pay everything. And already the thing has been increased. And even this government, if only like they will stick to their ways, I see no reason why VAT should be one of the taxes they should be taking. Because the current sitting president was the one who demonstrated against this particular VAT in 1995,
right?
Saying that the VAT was what was it called? Kumi Preko, right? It was called the Kumi Preko tax, on which people, young guys, even perished. They died through this. And now that you have become a president, I was expecting President Akufo-Addo to cancel VAT.
But you can't, that would be unrealistic, right? Because again, we have a deficit, we have a problem with raising revenue.
No. I'm going to understand. We have a deficit, but something that you stood against and demonstrated, people died. Once you have gotten the authority to become president. I was expecting him right away when he became president in 2017. I was expecting him to abolish VAT, because it was something he kicked against. He never supported it. He vilified President Mills. He vilified Rawlings for bringing VAT because it was Kumi Preko. Right. Ghanaians were overburdened with taxes, with VAT. Today, when he came, he doubled it. Right. Have you seen it? And today he's adding more, removing the exemptions also. So you see the type of government that we are dealing with. Right. He said this tomorrow, he's doing that the other. Now you have seen that VAT is an essential thing that can help you build your country. Are you getting it? And as we know, the thing has been increased already, and Ghanaians are feeling it. Most people cannot pay. When you go to the market, goods and services have been increased. Like I said, from 2017 up to now, goods keep on. It has increased, double, triple, and quadrupled. This thing is going to make it. It is going to more will be added again, and that is going to affect the pocket. And we hear already, you said we'll be coming to it. Salary should be the same. They shouldn't increase salary. And of course, for the past 3-4 years, I don't think salaries have been increased. It's still the same. If they do it at all, it's just a minute. That doesn't help anything. Inflation moves up to 50,
we have a lot. We
52.8.
have a lot of them, so we will make this a quick rounds and
Okay.
kind of make the commentary short.
So, all right.
Uh,
What I'm trying to say is that with the VAT, this thing is only going to increase the suffering of Ghanaians. Already they are suffering. They are dying rather.
okay.
When in 2016, where they were suffering, today they are dying. So Ghanaians are going to die more. So me, I don't see the essence is that they are going to bring more hardship into the
Okay.
system, and that is what Ghanaians are all waiting for, and we know it's going to happen.
All right. Good. Let me bring you in quickly on this one. I'm going to compile about 3 or 4 of them. That way we
Yeah.
can make instead of taking them one at a time. So the first one, as we said, is the removal of the VAT exemptions. Then there is reduction of custom exemptions. Then there is reformation of the corporate income tax to phase out tax holidays and exemptions. For instance, I mean, as a new company coming in, sometimes you get to enjoy some tax holidays just to incentivize you to bring your investment into Ghana. Currently, with the situation we are faced with, there is capital flight because, again, with the fiscal environment, lending is difficult. You know, and so companies are really shying away from us. But this assumptions is how some of them stay, right? But we are phasing all these assumptions out. Now, this is something that has been on the chopping block for a long time because we have an exemption bill sitting in Parliament and it's been there for a while, but we couldn't pass it for whatever reason. I don't know. Now the IMF is holding us to the gun and say we have to ensure that we have these exemptions or this exemption bill passed, including the one for VAT, the one that will remove exemptions for or phase out tax holidays and exemptions for corporations, and holistically reformat or reform just mean rewrite, right? Holistically rewrite the corporate income tax. Um,
Abudu,
I see hardship on top of hardship. Yes, go ahead.
Abudu, just now before the fact comes to you, just to inform you, the exemption bill has already passed through Parliament. I think that even the president has assented it.
Really?
Yes, about
Okay.
2 months ago. Yes.
About 2
I'm
months
not
ago.
sure if the president has sent it, but I already passed through Parliament.
Okay, so exemption bill has already been passed. Okay, I mean that is in line with the program objective here. So I'll
Yeah,
check on that.
it was part of preconditions as to how you get this IMF bill. So those most of the things that custom bills, all of that was passed. You know how it is. Let's say if I finish, it will come in there.
Okay, no problem. So if I take that for me and tell me how is a Ghanaian to deal with all this. I mean, these are gonna be imposing some very difficult times on the average person. However, they are necessary for us to actually get our act together. Some of these things should have been no brainer. As a government responsible, should have already done these things long ago. But you look at the political ramification of this, it brings hardship. People wouldn't like it. And a lot of the time when these type of things happen, people would, boot the government out. How is the Ghanaian to deal with it? And are we even going to be disciplined enough to ensure that, we are complying with these requirements? Over to you, Afa.
Yeah, Amuzu, thank you very much. You see, when Ofayao tries to make all these political this and that, sometimes it's amazing. I think the NDC told us that we should have gone in 20. Ofayao, you guys said we should have gone long time ago.
Yes.
Okay. So okay, go. We
And
go. Why did you go?
that is a fact, right? It would have helped kind of
Yes,
alleviate some
but
of these issues
but
long ago.
no. It wouldn't have taken the conditionalities and all these things we are discussing out. But you see, there are these things that we should have gone earlier. And the
Right.
NDC was one of the party that was pushing. There was a lot of people that were pushing. So you say go, we go, and then you say, why did you go? So sometimes don't double in this confusion and lack of coherence and inconsistencies and stuff like that.
No,
It doesn't help anyone.
I think that point about you going late is that you've exacerbated the problems, right? Because you've waited until at the point where we lost totally all confidence in our economy, where you've actually told debt our debtors that you are no longer paying them. You've suspended paying
No,
international obligation.
we I mean, we can say that, but the main reason we didn't go is that we had, we put together, especially with the e-levy, we had wanted to. It's money, right? And we are talking. You see, we go and they are telling us to do all these things another way. So it was all about the money. It's the taxes. We all agree that we are not collecting enough. Mahama is aware, having been ex-president when he was going for the 2015, was aware that the taxes that we were collecting, it was not enough. And he, in his famous speech, that we are in a country where the taxes that we pay do not match. He spoke with a passion, but when power changed hands, then the narrative changed. Don't do this, don't do that, don't do that. So the government did not. We had wanted to do our own thing, to be able to say, let's do it this way, let's do it that way. But we had a very stiff opposition. They looked at the law that was passed, looked at the loopholes. Hey, instead of you making a transaction, do it this way, go and remove it this way, and you will skip the taxation. Okay, so what happened? Something that was supposed to give us a certain amount of money, we were doing 10% of it. So obviously there's a shortfall of revenue. Now we needed this money to be able to do some stuff, pay contractors, to be able to do some other stuff. And it wasn't coming. Then we had the credit ratings coming in because of the challenges in the economy, bashing us and all that. So that's why we find ourselves here. So we found ourselves in a situation where we looked at all options, and this is the best for us to go. At least it gives us a cushion, and then we will be able to bounce back. Now, like I keep saying, I'm happy and I'm not happy. If we don't do the needful, we are always going to go back and forth, and that's not going to help us. Now, so the exemptions, Amuzu, we all agree. You see, everybody knows that these companies, they come in, they make a lot of money, and then they take it away. Now there are also some locally that take advantage of all these tax breaks and stuff. I understand that some of these tax breaks really help in establishing of companies and all that, and we are struggling to industrialize most of our sectors. So these exemptions, some to an extent, but sometimes people have taken advantage of it. They find means to do other stuff, and we need to really restructure that sector. Now, if the government had do it on its own, I mean, I'm yet to read about what the law has passed and what are the specifics and stuff like that. But here, the IMF is being very specific, and it is part of the conditions. It will be reviewed in 6 months or when the next thing is due. We said this and that. We said this and that. Have you done it? So as a country, we find ourselves in a mix. But this is good news because, government can also find a way to somehow give something to these people to come in and help. It could be land, it could be whatever, management of something, But when it comes to the money that is due the state, we have to get our due. And these big corporations, with this tax holiday and the way, when they're taking their money out of the country, how it affects the exchange rate and all that kind of stuff. These are all challenges that we need to tackle, and make sure that, at the end of the day, we have something that you need. You are coming in to help. It is a win-win. It is a 50-50 thing. We have it. You're going to help us build something. But you don't come in and straight away take everything to the point where, the nation is found wanting when it comes to revenues and things that we should get. So for me, it is something painful. No business go into a place, and if there are competitive advantage somewhere, they will still come into Ghana for whatever reason. The companies are going to look at a sub-region and other places and decide, hey, is it cost benefit to do it in Ghana, or go to India, or go to China, or go to Cote d'Ivoire, or go to Togo and stuff like that. So I think within the framework, we are going to need all hands on board. That how do we fine tune this so that at the end of the day, the companies and all these investors will understand that we've been partners for a very long time. We have a challenge. Help us overcome these challenges, and then we know how best we too can treat you in terms of businesses and all that. I mean, we all agree that this thing should have been done long time ago.
Okay.
But but in addition to that, I think what the government should do is that, the locals, sometimes, the local build local capacity so that we will not going to be found wanting with these companies going back and forth and all this kind of stuff. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Afa Amaya, for the spirited contribution there. We should have gone a long time ago. It's on a great position among both parties. Now, I just made a quick observation since we have two MPP uh, communicators here. I think I would use my prerogative as a host to kind of be allocating a little more time to the NDC person just so he can have just for equality so he can respond to some of the claims you guys are making.
This is and this is
Hey,
this is the first time you are making an objective
I swear
observation
to
like
God.
this because it is on the NDC side. But that is fine. We are always ready to assess such stuff. When they are
I,
two and we are one, you never ever give us extra. But it's okay. It's good.
I,
Well,
I, I,
We have to
I,
start
I,
from somewhere, right?
I think
Amuzu, Amuzu.
I
This
was
is
I
just right
read
away.
this
Let's
I
go.
read this thing somewhere in the world. Today's what, the 20th of what? Well, May 20th, right? I'll write it somewhere. So next time when we come in the single, you can give us that time.
I will give
Amuzu,
you.
feel free. Feel free. This is just a little heckle, okay?
It's okay. It's okay. All right. So yes, Kojo DC, you were able to share with me the exemption bill that was actually passed in, I believe,
September.
it's called the Exemption Act of 2022. So thanks for doing so. Um, so yeah, I mean, these things will all come online, and we believe that, like, if I just
But I
mentioned,
think, Amuzu, I think that I haven't had a chance to look at it. But I think with the IMF, maybe they will have to look at this. There are some clauses in there that would have to be touched. Even though
well,
it's
yeah,
fresh.
I believe there is gonna be some. Usually, they
Yeah.
put together an implementation regulation, right? They would have to put an LI to kind
Right.
of implement it. So perhaps some of mostly these bills are the acts or the legislation itself are a little more broader. They do that intentionally so that they can create some room for implementation tweaks. So, like you said, there's definitely going to be some enhancements to it so that it kind of embraces all the recommendations of the fund. Okay, so Kojo, same questions to you.
Yeah.
They
All right,
definitely yeah,
let me just be quick on that because we know we don't have much of a time. So let me just be quick on. Like I said, the customs tax thing is already passed. I think it was passed a few weeks ago.
right.
The exemption has been. But you see, of all of this, the one thing that I am worried, and I will say this without any qualms about that, because the the our members of parliament, our politicians write all these bills, and then they give exemptions by all means. In this game, like they always say, in every game of engagement, there's exception, right? They are going to
Mhm.
give to some people to do. The fact of the matter is, if you talk about VAT, for instance, taking the exemption from VAT and the exemption for import duties and all of that, who are these
Mhm.
people who are benefiting? Those are the most important thing that I think we all have to look at, right? Because it's
Mhm.
mostly people connected to big people that are getting those things. For instance, let me take MTN for instance. MTN came as what? Space phone or something, right? And
Mhm.
then it came back, and then they went to another name, and then MTN, and all just because of these tax exemptions. And they repatriate their monies back to whatever the investment is supposed to be, and it affects our dollar every moment of that. So this
South
is
Africa.
something that, yep, South Africa. This is something that I think for this very IMF, the 18th time, this should be the last. And in order for this to be the last, it will need a cooperation of, first of all, these two big political parties. My brother Yao is saying all sorts of things. Remember, this agreement is bound by the Ghana government, not the NPP government. It's bound by the Ghana government. So whoever takes in charge in 2025, irrespective of which government comes to, NDC, NPP, or whoever comes, is going to be ruled by this very program that we are going. This 3 years program. So we should be very careful and see how we can do things better from now onwards. I
I
was
mean,
before.
it's interesting, right? You inherited an RMF program. You're living with an RM. You're living
Yeah,
IMF program.
we can do all the politics of it. I don't
Amuzu,
have a problem with
be
it.
careful.
Amuzu. No, I understand it, but as a country, is that how we want to live? Because at the end of the day, right?
Mm,
Yeah, we criticized the NDC for going to IMF. It was held for them to go to IMF. They were shame to go to IMF, and we are in IMF, right? There are different circumstances. We can go back. I don't want to go back. I'm just forging forward. In moving forward, what is it that we can do as people? Because at the end of the day, the government is not just MPP government. They have members of parliament who also went to uh, go was able to be part of this approval for the IMF program to go on. It wouldn't just pass because the tax exemption, all of that was done through parliament. It doesn't matter if one person voted for it or not. It's the member, it's the Ghana parliament that have passed it. That is bound by the Ghana government. It doesn't matter who comes to power. So that's something we have to do. And so for me, in moving forward, what are we going to do that will not go? And I was very lucky yesterday. I posted something on your platform and I took it back. If you look at these conditions that have been given to us, same what has been given to us the 18th of all we've gone. And then I remember listening to reading the former president Mahama's SONA 2016. And he made all these things and based on one thing, and I would say I will agree with him 100%. Elections. Anytime there's elections, we balloons our debt. We do all sorts of things that we are not supposed to be doing, right? And it's true when he said it, we made it a political thing, and it's true today, right? So from there going, what do we have to do? I'm not going to be politics today. I'm trying to see how we as a country can just for the last time not going to IMF again, then restrict ourselves to these very things that we have the big economics in our country. They know, but the politicians don't listen. Is that something that we, the people, as Ghanaians, can force these governments to do the right thing for us so that we can have a stable currency that we can think about, I know in the next 2 years, my dollar is going to be within maybe 0.1, 0.2% of increases that we can be assured of doing business. Because all these things, corporate tax, all of that, people come, they don't pay anything. There are people who are, I'm just giving, McDan, who has a whole airport, owns Ghana Electricity Company for how much? 200 and something million, never paid until they cut it off. The people are just enjoying things that they are supposed not to do, right? We should all do the right thing. See how we can curb on corruption. Civil servant like Kati.
But those are not the exemptions. So.
No,
all right, guys.
I was just bringing.
This is pure duping of the state or something like that.
I'm just saying.
In addition to the exemption.
No, I'm
You
not. I'm
started
not
by saying you are going to make
this
this very quick, and you are very quick. So
no. Let me just land on it.
Right.
Concerning freezing or 0.5 employment for civil servants.
No, we haven't gotten to that one yet.
All
so
right, okay.
hold on to that. All right, cool.
Okay.
All right. So I want to take the next four, right? The next four are going to be like really critical, and this is where most of the impact would be. The first one here is that there is going to be increasing progressivity in personal income tax. So in other words, income taxes will be going up. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's one. The next one I want us to kind of combine with that is there's going to be an automatic adjusting fuel levies by exchange rates movement and inflation. So when, like we said, when inflation goes up, fuel prices go up. Then there is going to be quarterly adjustments, including electricity and water tariffs. Okay. And then let me ask the Kojo DC's favorite, which is that we are going to freeze unemployment, and only if there's going to be any employment at all, it would be capped at 0.5% of what we already have. So there will be a cap on employment. So Ofayao, take all those four for me, right?
Thank you.
Taxes will be going up.
Yeah.
Electricity will be going up.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, salaries wouldn't be going up. So
salary will be the same. Thank you very much.
Yeah, but it did not say good. It said adjustment. It didn't say upwards.
whether adjustment or what. So this,
Yeah,
Yeah, it can be
Amuzu,
adjusted downwards. It can be adjusted downwards. So
actually,
let him
let's
go.
watch the wording properly.
um,
Yeah,
actually,
adjustment means increase.
Amuzu, like I said from the beginning, you can see that all that I said is coming up now. You know, increase in what taxes at upward adjustment. It means there will be increase. Even it stated declared that they should find avenue to bring in more taxes. And I know the government they are going to find a way to bring in more taxes.
Right.
And if you are
Yes.
bringing in more taxes, already we all know that this government is the government that have brought in more taxes from 2017 up to now, more than any other any government. But when they were in opposition, they criticized us that our taxes were too much. But Umia will come out and speak, and then the government is bringing taxes, and you are making what is very insensitive. Today, as I speak, even COVID, the Afghanians are paying COVID tax. Ghanaians are paying Bola tax. Name them. About 25 taxes that they have bestowed on Ghanaians already. They are coming to find a way to bring more again. Already what they have,
no,
they
but
can't pay.
what they are saying is your income tax will be going up.
Yeah, that is what I'm saying. Yeah.
Your salary.
Yes, you pay more. When you earn your salary, you pay more. Yeah. But what I'm trying to say is that
they say your salary will, your rent will go up, your salary will go down. So
so everything, all those things, you know. And then we also talk about, you mentioned 4 of them, right?
Yeah.
There wouldn't be increment in salary. Salary will be the same. And then when this thing goes up, you see, all this thing is telling you that they are making life unbearable for Ghanaians. They are going to already what they are experiencing is not good, and they are going to make life more unbearable for them. And that is the situation, because as soon as all these things goes up, you are taking from them, but you are not giving in anything. Whatever you have remains the same, and you will be giving out more. So what happened to your life? It means that your life will be coming down. All that you cannot. There is no way you'll be able to enjoy life anymore. Already hardship. You'll be enduring more hardship, and so it's exactly what this.
I mean, there'll be more haircuts for even the average person, right?
There will be more, as you know, for the average person, and already you know, because of the taxes and whatsoever and the conditions of the economy, Ghanaians are only having one meal a day instead of 3 meals a day. They eat only one. It is 100. You wake up, you don't eat, you stay.
I see some of the Ghanaians and the fufu and the number of meats they have on those fufus. At least
I think I went to Ghana a long time.
I'm saying right now, Amuzu. If you look at what actually is going on in the country and the taxes and whatsoever, the economy, the increment of goods and services, a lot of Ghanaians don't take 3 square meals again like we used to be in 2016. Today it is 100. They eat only once a day instead of 3 times because of the economy. And now you are coming to increase all these things. It means that at a point in time, maybe if you are not careful, Ghanaians will not eat for the whole day. There will be 0 meal for them. Because as it stands, like I'm telling you, they don't take, average Ghanaian don't take 3 square meals again, like they used to take in 2016. Meanwhile, our brothers told us that it was bad at that time. Today, it takes people, it's only few people that can eat even twice a day. It is 100.
Let me ask
you eat once you wake up, you don't eat, you eat around 3, and that's all. You sleep with it to the next day. You continue like that, and that is how Ghanaians are living now. So if all these things are going to be adjusted and then increase, you can see how the life will be for Ghanaians, because salary will be the same. They say they shouldn't increase salary. If they will increase that or something small, and we all know that for the past from 2017 up to now, they don't normally increase salaries. If they will do it at all 4%, what do 4% do when your inflation is at 54? is at 52, it's at 45 now. And
41.
your salary increment is 4%. Amuzu, you can feel it. How Ghanaians, the ordinary Ghanaian will feel it. Have you seen it? And also, working, they shouldn't hire people. They say 0.5. It means that they are not going to hire. It has been freeze. 0.5 means it has been freeze. People will not be employed from now up to 2026. Like they told us when we went in 2016, they use it as a campaign message. NDC for the Yako campaign and now my freezy and Fenipa school now the same thing is coming. They are not hiring. And now that they are bringing this attaching to it, it means they say 0.5. They are not going to hire anybody. Even if they will hire at all, it's going to be the 0.5 is going to be the MPP employees. They are only going to employ MPP card bearing members. And that's what they've been doing for the past 6 to 7 years now. All the security services, all the job sectors that they are, the public sector, they only hire MPP people. That's all. No other political this thing have gotten a job as of now, and they are bringing this condition again. So you can see how Ghanaians will continue to suffer until 2024 come when we kick them out. So what I'm trying to say is that Amuzu, all things that we have spoken about, adjustment of this and that, all is just going to increase the hardship for the ordinary Ghanaian, and we have to prepare for it because we are in it already.
All right, let me ask you, are you familiar with a term called Rawlings chain?
A term called
Rawlings chain.
1993. 1983.
Rawlings chain, right?
Yes.
Maybe you were not born. You are not born by then.
Really? I am not familiar with that.
Hey,
so if you can.
I think now that
we are dealing with a rookie.
I think Akufo-Addo bought everybody a new chain. That's what I'm trying to say.
Akufo-Addo chain.
This will be eating once a day. Rawlings chain is when you are so skinny that you have these two bones right here showing. Anyway.
1983.
Okay. So FM, I mean, same question to you really, but FM, what you see here is that every time we go to the IMF, they seem to always try to tell us that, listen, our government payroll is over bloated, so stop hiring. And each time we really put these freezes on hiring and do the things the IMF says, we then recover nicely. Our fiscal indicators improve significantly, and we are always in good shape. We bring inflation down. We are single-digit targeting inflation, etc., until we get out of an IMF program, and then we mess this all up. So why wouldn't we, as a people, already kind of run our economies in compliance with this type of conditions or program, so that we have a private sector led development instead of public sector led? Because here they are saying don't hire more people, but they're not. It's only limited to government sector. Right? If you're private sector, you can hire, you can increase salaries. It doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
So as a people, why wouldn't we do these things?
Yeah, thank you very much. Now, correction. It is not true that the government has only hired.
By the way, let me just read this message quickly. Jack Keel, is it Jacqueline? Jacqueline I saw is saying that I think they say you are too young to know what
Ofaya is not young. Maybe he was too that about to have experienced Rawlings chain. That's what it is.
Right.
Yes. So do I have the floor?
Sure, you do.
Yeah. So it is not true that government after government only employs its members. Sometimes they make this political issue and stuff like that. Now, in the current government, I know a lot of NAPCO, a lot of police, and a lot of people who are purely NDC. I know I can direct you to somebody at the ministry of at the military that is in charge of, it's an NDC in charge of the hiring. I know that man to be an NDC man. So it's not true, and we shouldn't even encourage that. That's not the case. If Mahama will tell people that NDC executive be ready for small farming activities when I come to power, we don't do that. NAPCO, a lot of even when it comes to
We know you guys brought your people into the national
planting
security.
for planting for food and job. Pangamu, an NDC former MP, came to
Your your
testify that
your
the thing is there for everybody. So
your
go.
vigilante group was completely absorbed into the
The
national security.
vigilante groups are different. Everybody has a vigilante group.
But you
No
put yours
vigilante
into
group
the
has been
police and
absorbed into
military.
the military. No vigilante group has been absorbed into the.
I mean,
If
Hey,
this.
somebody was in a vigilante group and managed to get in, I mean, what we need to do is to train him to become a professional. Okay? Even here, even in this country, we have SSs. Are they vigilantes? We have SSs in the military and all over those places.
I mean,
So
we have people in the military
individual
without
individual and
KVSP.
professional behavior must not be taken to that the whole group is like that. That is not. Let us continue to correct ourselves and be better next time.
All right.
Instead of playing all these things. So let's go to the substantive issue.
Okay.
So the order you listed, right?
Mhm.
Some of these things are not surprising. See, it is like things that we are supposed to do that we've neglected. We
Mhm.
all know that not even the public sector is bloated. The public sector is full of ghost names. We take them out and they manage to get in somehow. There are some of these agencies and ministries that are relevant. When was the last time you heard about the this division? That was where I did my national service. Ministry of Education, non-formal education sector. What do they do there? You go there, you sit in an office, you read newspaper, and then you go home. They're supposed to be going around teaching people in the night, and they don't do these things, but they are there, they're on payroll and all that kind of stuff. Now, if the IMF say they look at the sector, it's over bloated, and they say employ this number of people, it doesn't mean that you should focus on only the public sector, just as you said. Now, we believe, and it should be the focus of every government,
Mhm.
that you grow the private sector.
Right.
Okay. Now, when you go into the agri sector, how much has government invested over there? But it employs a chunk of the farmers, the cocoa
Mhm.
farmers, the cashew farmers, and all that kind of stuff. Okay,
Okay.
so let us grow that part. Now, thankfully for MPP, we
Mhm.
have the one district, one factory, which is
Mhm.
government leading the private sector to go in there. So Amuzu, go and take up the challenge.
Mhm.
Fire, go and take up the challenge. Whatever you want to do, go in there. Have a lot of friends. There's one guy here in Chicago. He can lead you through all that. How to source these things and be able to, take advantage of the situation. So the government should focus more on making sure that the private sector, local capacity, local private sector, not foreign. They come and they take the money away. Local, build the locals so that they will be hiring this thing the people and all that, so that this employment and in America and all these places that we are always happy. It is the private sector that is hiring all these people, and we must be taking cue from these things and all that kind of stuff.
Okay.
Now
Now we
salaries.
gotta roll on. So
Yeah,
summarize.
a quick one on salaries and ahochere and all that.
Mhm.
Now, sometimes the opposition is so funny because it's politics and they want to take advantage of the situation. Now, NDC just ran a very lavish campaign, but at the same time, you say ahochere and all that kind of stuff. Yes, ahochere is there. Okay, there's hardship. The economic situation is such that and stuff like that. You see, we oppose taxes that the government brought. We don't want to pay the taxes that are due as property tax and all that. So at the end of the day, you realize that taxes that we are collecting, it is us that are going to pay. So if this one is not working, they're trying to find other means to push it. All
Mhm.
that I would say is that government should find a way, as a government or as a people, when we sit down, if this is what we do, we can find another way to cushion the individual so that there can be relief among families. And the only way to do that, I think, will be to create job opportunities in such a way that if, instead of one person working in the family, it may be two, three, four, or five people, so that the shocks can be absorbed in that sense, and then families will be able. So job creation is very important, and we should put it on our head. If more companies are created, then they can be taxed, and then our tax revenues and other things will be improved. But other than that, these are the measures that are coming in. We all have to sit down and see what is the best way out, and then be able to generate the money that we need, so that we can get the funds we need to be able to take up the challenges that we take, so we can become independent in our financing and all that kind of stuff. But
Okay,
it is also
that's good.
important that we work towards independence in our management and not
All right,
always run into the IMF for some of these reliefs. Thank you.
thank you so much. All right, Kojo.
Yeah. So you see, my brother Ofaya, I think today, and as usual, as my deputy director of communication said, he's in here for politics, no solution. He's with all this that has come.
I think we are
Uh,
all here for politics, ain't we?
Yeah, of course, there's always politics, but like I said, today is a different day. It's something that we all ought to see. He said, "Oh, inflation is 41%," and the government on January, the government and then the trade union agree of 30% increments on base payment. So just remember, there was 30% increment of salary that was given to. It's not 4%. Just to remember that. And then this is the question that my brother is saying. He's talking, oh, we said we'll cut these taxes. Was in nuisance tax. Yes, of course. When we came, there was nuisance taxes. There was taxes on condom. There was taxes on car classes. There was taxes on even a sanitation, sanitary part. That was the things that we took over. Yes, it's true. We are bringing some taxes now, which is true. I will not dispute that. It's still going to be hard, of course, when it's like you going to buy a car, you don't have a money, a good credit, and somebody supports you. Somebody's going to control you. So there's going to be a little bit of hardship that it will be coming with this. We should all agree to that, and I think that's the most important thing that we have to do. But what is the next solution? If my brother Ofaya is saying, "Oh, we are not going to employ, we're not going to increase salary," in unlikely event NDC comes, these things are not going to change. So I will indulge with my fellow Ghanaians. We as the NPP are the best management of the thing. This thing
Wow.
happened. This thing happened just because of COVID and the Russian-Ukraine war.
Why?
Even the IMF itself has said that is that
Mhm.
this exacerbated it based on these very two things. And if you look at the quantum of money that has been given to us, when the NDC went in 2015 for the IMF, it was only less than $1 billion. And look at the amount that is being given to us, three
But you
billion
see, that
dollars.
shouldn't
That
that
tells
shouldn't be
you
a
a lot.
source of
Hold on.
that shouldn't be a source of
Let me.
pride. That
No,
oh,
no.
our problem is so
It
deep
tells you
that
the magnitude of the situation globally that is going on. The IMF will not give you $3 billion for a support of that. They give less every time. So that tells you a lot that the
but
the, the
during the
burden
COVID
at
itself, they
this
gave
time is
you
different.
an increase. During the COVID itself, they gave you an increase in your SDR, on which
Of
we kind of
course, I'm
grew.
saying because I'm not disputing all of that. What I'm
Okay,
saying is is the situation at hand globally. So you think the IMF would defend Ghana just to defend Ghana's sake? No, and I know you
Ghana
agree.
is not defending Ghana.
No, they said
If
this thing. Yeah,
Amuzu, Amuzu, if I may come in,
can I
like he
can I
also
finish?
No,
interjected a little. You
no.
hear from the my preliminary this thing, the
Can I
statement I read from
can I
IMF.
finish?
IMF is telling you that
Let him finish. Let him
COVID and what Ukraine is not your problem. You had
No,
the problem before COVID came. That is
that's
what
over
IMF
in this.
told you during the
Of
Okay.
I
negotiation, sitting down for this money.
of
And
I
I
Okay.
read it to the hearing of our audience.
of
So
I
don't come here and say IMF is praising you and he's saying COVID. IMF warned you that you had a problem before the arrival of COVID.
Of
Let me continue.
I think you're not listening because you just came. You have a written script that you're supposed to say. You don't want to even listen to anything. Listen, this is what it is. It's true. The Ghana government has always been struggling. I will take the Fourth Republic as every time. That's what I said in my initial remarks. I say we've been doing politics with this thing that we ought to stop and find a solution to our problems. So I
Okay.
agree with you. Yes, there might be some problems over there, but the COVID and Ukraine change everything, which the IMF have said it right. And you talk about, oh, we talk about taxes. Yes, we talk about, oh, but the president said about Kumi Preko. Like, yeah, when President Kufuor brought in talk tax, what did you guys say? Hey, you say Okasakra Ebeju. When you came into government, you increase it. So these are the things that we all have to find a solution to so that we can make good of the country. But let me finish with this. We're talking about the public sector and the rest. What is the output that we are getting at the end of the day with this almost 800 and something thousand people that we employ? What do we get out of it? Like my brother, if I was talking about, people just sit in the office. Even when you go for a service, people think they are doing you a favor when they are supposed to be servicing you, right? So yes, I agree with them. Is you have to cut employment, but especially the essential side, like the military, like the police, the nurses, the teachers. Those are very essential ones that we need to have them. But there are some people sitting at some office, never even go to the office, and then get paid. And then you take just two bills, right? The wage bill, and then you take our interest payment. That only takes about 90% of the revenue that we generate. How are we going to develop as a country? So those are things that we all have to look at. My brother, Ofaya, yes, you want to come to power. Remember, I just want to tell your people, say, hey, this IMF bill is bound by all of us, irrespective of who comes to power in 2025. We should find a solution now so we won't go back again. Thank you, Amuzu.
Amuzu, you're on mute.
Oh,
Since
so
you say
the whole time I was cursing out at my friend Kojo, he didn't hear me. I just kidding. I
Amuzu,
won't do that, you know that.
Amuzu,
I'm glad you are mute.
No, I won't
Amuzu,
do that. I'm just kidding. Yes,
can you just give me 30 seconds?
you will come next, so just hold
No,
on.
give
Okay.
me 1 hour. Give me 1 hour. He has nothing to say. He's going to make propaganda.
All right, guys. So the last one I want us to take a look at is there's going to be a second DDE, and we just want to make sure we explain this well so that our listeners can understand what that means. So, the first debt restructuring program that we went through just looked at bonds that were dominated in Ghana cedis, right? But there are other ones that are actually dominated in dollars. So if you look at it, domestic debt is about 45% of our total debt portfolio, and a significant portion of that is bonds. And then we also have treasury bills. We've completely exempted treasury bills. As to whether we're going to bring treasury bills into the restructuring fold, we don't know. But the dollar dominated one will still have to also go through some type of adjustment. So we should expect that to happen. And so I want us to kind of focus on that for the next 10 minutes or so. Now, because of the debt restructuring, banks have to take a hit, right? Because most of the banks are mostly exposed to or they are the holders of these government debts. So a bank, for instance, will have to now revalue their assets. When we say their assets, for instance, the monies that they lend to government, they consider those assets, right? And for each Ghana cities, now they are taking a haircut, and it's now like 70 cities to them. So it is causing them to not, first of all, recognize the revenues they anticipated on this coupon payments. They are not making those revenues, and therefore they can't even pay enough of the taxes that we've anticipated in our budget without, first of all, considering that we were going to go through this DDE program. So we are losing on revenue because banks are not making enough revenue, and banks are not making enough revenue because we've given them haircuts. Okay. So that in itself is a problem. It is causing the banking industry to kind of tilt into this sort of instability one more time, where they may not necessarily have the adequate capital they needed to run. And we don't know how that is going to actually impact the banks. So that is a source of risk we should also be worried about. However, the debts the portion of the debt that is dominated in dollars would have to also go through adjustments. So the adjustment is now over. All this is leading to something that the fund actually captured in their risk analysis. If you look at page 52 of the report, they did risk assessment metrics. And one of the things they said is that There is the likelihood of social unrest in Ghana. If it's a social unrest in Ghana could slow down and or delay reforms under this program. So what do we have to do? We have to take measures to strengthen governance and anti-corruption frameworks, implement orderly fiscal consolidation, and strengthen social and financial safety nets. Okay, I'm going to stop in 1 second, but also to cushion all these things we've talking about, to cushion the pressure, we say that, we have the LEAP program. The LEAP program is a program that disburses money to like people who are vulnerable, very poor people. The criteria in selecting those people, I don't know, but apparently very, very poor people in Ghana get monthly paychecks. Sometimes we delay those paychecks, but we want to kind of ensure that we reform how the payments get distributed to our gifts PSS or so they call it, and have the distribution happen in the field as quickly. And we're going to we've recently increased that amount that what we disburse to them, and we want to now peg it to inflation so that when inflation goes up, they automatically get an increase in how much is distributed to them. So there are some cushioning in the program for very, very poor and vulnerable people. So my brother Yao, taking all this together, right? Taking the fact that we have to do an adjustment again with the dollar denominated, the likelihood of costing panic again, because the banks who are holders of these instruments, 5% of our debt portfolio, will still be the ones going through these things. It's likelihood banks may fail as a result. Likelihood social unrest could be triggered, and the fact that we are supporting a few very, very poor people. We want to expand that net to cover as many people as possible. Now, I mean, is this something that we should lose sleep over? Because you see, we don't want to have another banking cleanup. Okay, we really, really don't want that. And we also don't want a situation where we are not meeting this requirement, so the IMF will pull up, because it's the IMF that is giving us the credibility again for the international markets to see us as now modestly distressed instead of completely distressed and unable to pay our debts. Should we be losing sleep over this?
Thank you very much. Let me just clarify something small before I move on to that. Like I said, my brother Kojo DC was trying to say that we are in IMF because of those external. It's never true. That is why, Amuzu, from the initial stage, I read what the IMF said. I want our audience to listen to it. The IMF have stated it clearly that it's not the COVID they are talking about. They had a problem before the COVID arrived. So they are only shifting blame to COVID and Russia and Ukraine war. Russia and Ukraine war started just 2022 February. And this one before COVID, Amuzu, our debt, total debt moved from 120 to 400 billion. Look at it. Debt to GDP, like I said, you were saying it wasn't like that. It was 56 when you pick up. It moved to 76%. 56 to 76. Have you seen it? Which is 200%.
That was in
within that
2020.
time. And if you are running an economy and your debt to GDP is 76%, what do you think? Well, you don't have physical space. Have you seen it? So the problem, they have to make it. Everybody is aware. The problem has been created through your reckless borrowing. Kenoforata reckless borrowing caused the problem. So the COVID is not the cause of your going to IMF. Let me clarify things here. And then also, even COVID should have been a blessing to you. Because when COVID came, you had money from the World Bank, you have money from the IMF, you have money from corporate bodies, all amounted to 30 billion. What did you do with 30 billion? Zero. We didn't see anything. You just spend the money recklessly. And even your revenue, they were able to exceed, Amuzu, they were able to exceed their revenue in 2020 and 2021. Revenue target during COVID, they had it and had more. So why do you blame COVID again? COVID should rather be a blessing to you, because you never, before COVID, you never had the taxes you receive. People during COVID have paid more through they gave us the report that you exceeded it. So why do you keep on blaming COVID? It should rather be a blessing, because the money that you had through COVID, my friend.
Okay, are you gonna address the substantive question as
Yes,
well?
I just want to make things clear here, because they were shifting. Yeah,
Too much
Kojo
time
DC
on
was trying to shift the thing to that, but I want to make it clear. That's why I read that to you. Let me go to the substantive this thing. Like you said, Amuzu, all this problem, like you said, the bank is not able to meet God. The problem started, like, I'm very happy you stated it, that we are not praying for another banking sector cleanup. You see, the problem that we are having is through that banking sector cleanup. That is where the problem started. Amuzu, you needed 9 billion to strengthen those banks, to make them float and work, so that people will be employed to work. And you use about 18 to 20 billion to close them up, and causing a huge sort of unemployment. You know, people that have been employed, about 300,000 were unemployed through the banking sector cleanup alone. And how do you expect those ones to be able to make money? Are you getting it? See, these are some of the problems. These are some of the decisions they took. I don't know why they were able to take those decisions. And it has given us a lot of problems. Then now we are getting the effects. Have you seen it? So if you are doing all this from the beginning, Amuzu, does that make sense? If you need 9 billion to strengthen them to work, and you use about 18, twice, even more than that, to 20 billion to close them up, and created a vacuum. People have been laid off, about 300,000 people. The Susu and loans, people, all those people have been laid out, creating unemployment situation in the country. Already when you were coming, unemployment was 5.4. Have you seen it? You said no, and yet unemployment was too. Mahama created unemployment. People were not in the problem. Yeah, we agree. They voted for you. Today, unemployment have moved from 13, is now 13.4. According to 2020,
actually
2022, is that?
It's 16% now.
Is that?
It's 16% now. 16%.
It's one. Thank you very much. 16%, 16%. Have you seen it? More have been I am even quoting the old figure, 13.4. I'm helping them. Have you seen your government now? So this is the problem. You have come, instead of creating jobs, you are creating unemployment. Instead of create unemployment for people, you are creating unemployment rather. What kind of government is this? Banking sector alone clean up, about 300,000 people have been laid off. Me, my own colleagues that are school, University of Cape Coast, they did good, become and stuff. They were working on. They are all home now. Some are not working through the banking sector cleanup. What kind of idea is this? Have you seen it? So, Amuzu, this all came out and it is now affecting us. Like you are talking about that thing and stuff. Why can you go by a decision like this? Have you seen it? And this is the problem of the government. So the problems you are facing now is neither caused by Ukraine, neither is it Russia or COVID. It was created by the government itself. They could have avoided all these things, but they I don't know what kind of the decisions, people that make decisions for the government, and they are not able to look through certain things of this sort and then bring anything. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
So
let's move on. Right, we have another topic we need to address. So
so
take some quick minute. Okay, you wrap up. So if I could take 1 minute, I want another 1 minute on.
Don't talk about 1 minute. What 1 minute?
So
1 minute.
Wrapping up. Actually, all that we were saying, is going to bring. It's only hardship throughout. All the conditionalities that we are talking about is only going to increase the hardship that Ghanaians are already enduring. And all these problems were created by Ifa and his government. They cannot put any blame on Russia, neither can they put the blame on Ukraine or COVID. COVID rather should be a blessing to them, because through COVID, they had a quantum of 30 billion
don't do that
coming into their coffers, and they have squandered everything. They squandered it. They can't account for even a peso.
All right, thank you.
And this is the type of government that we have.
All right, thank you so much. Guys, let's not try to not talk over each other. But again, I think certain things need to be clarified too, right? Because if you read the IMF report, they said, of course, we are in where this quagmire of debt distress because COVID and Ukraine has exacerbated an already weak economic or fiscal,
Thank
situation.
you, Amozu. That's
So,
all. Thank
so,
you.
so let's bear that in mind. Now, so if I want elevator speech, right? Your elevator speech. Let's say you meet a girl and you need to take the girl home. Quick. You only got 1 minute, one shot.
Yeah,
No.
you you restricted me. How can I make this in 1 minute?
Well, it's
Anyway,
first impression. If you
first
don't do, yeah, go ahead.
first is the rate of borrowing. Okay,
Mhm.
the rate and percentage of MPP borrowing is not more than what you did under your term. So you have to get these things right. So that is number one. So all that we're talking about right now here,
What are you even saying?
okay,
Okay. Right.
if if we say I am COVID and Ukraine, and the IMF is saying that, and based on it, they are granting us. Who else is whoever to say that is not the case? Okay, and in any case, you've corrected it. Our economy has always faced challenges, and we try to fix it until such a time that we fix it to be able to absorb shocks. When we are hit by, like especially COVID, you don't have a choice but to run to the IMF and the World Bank for support. Okay, and you talk about money came in during those periods and it was a blessing. Who told you COVID was a blessing to any country? Which country? Because of the money that came in, people were sitting at home. They were not working. The economy was shut down. No, nothing was coming in, nothing was going out. And do you know the amount of money that we had to go through to be able to take care of stuff? And you see, this is why we say as MPP that whatever problem we are facing now, if we were the NDC, it would have been double that. So the GDP would have been up the roof. Unemployment would have been 20 something or 30 something. This IMF thing would have been whatever.
All
We are
right.
good managers of the economy, but we will know how to manage because we know how to do stuff. That is why when we went to the IMF, they
Mhm.
look at Ghana, they look at the people that are ruling right now, they know our track record, they say, hey, let's help these people fast because we cannot afford. These are people we know, it is not their fault. It is as a result of all these conditions. Let us help them fast so that Ghana can come on its feet. You
All
think we would
right.
have been able to do that? At least they gave us 0.5%, right? For you, they said, no, shut up, don't take anybody. And other hardship. And Muhammad
Look at
said,
that.
IMF only prescribe one medicine, quinine, and you have to take it. As
Right.
is quinine mixed with a little bit of honey for it to have a sweet taste. And of this
Okay.
one too, for the sake of politics, you want to come and say what?
All
We will
right.
meet all the conditions, but what I'm saying is that we can do the politics, but all of us have to come on board
Okay.
and make sure that we don't go back there again. All of us have a responsibility. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, so Kojo,
Yeah. So quick.
we gotta
I'll
move
be
on to
quick
the
this
next
time. All
topic.
right.
Yeah.
So let me
Mhm.
let me say this right.
All right.
With unemployment at 16%, we are still better off. There's no unemployment association anywhere that was formed in 2016, right? There's not. You can't hear nothing. People are being paid. It's true. There's unemployment, right? And I still disagree with my brother. Even in 2019, the GDP was about 5.9%. So there was not. Yes, I've already admitted that the Ghana economy, and I always use the Fourth Republic to be. We have been struggling because of the way our structure of the economy is. That is the reasons, one thing. But let me go to the substantial question that you asked. You
Mhm.
said there's going to be civil unrest because of the banking sector and then the DDP in dollar that was going to be.
Not necessarily the banking sector alone, but banking sector is one, and besides that, the further restructurings,
Yes.
uh, the freeze, the increase in taxes,
Inflation and all that,
Yeah, I
all
mean,
unemployment,
that is
all those
likely to cause
civil
likely
unrest.
to cause unrest which
Yeah.
would further delay the implementation of the programs. And when that happened, we wouldn't
Yeah,
achieve all the things we are set on to achieve,
these are
right?
all speculation that I want to for the sake of time, right? These are all speculation that are going on. We don't know, but if you could see, right when we enter into the IMF agreement, we also went to the World Bank to have a facility of about 900 million, which we advanced almost close to. And if you remember, when we did the DDP, well, we said we're going to have the Financial Stability Fund. As of now, the World Bank has promised of about $200 million that is going to be put in the fund. So to hold the banks, if the banks are not able to pay, that is when all these things comes in. So that stability fund is sitting down there that we already established. The World Bank has also promised to give us about 200.
No, but Kojo,
Oh.
I wasn't speculating. This is risk assessment in the same RMF document.
Yeah, but it's assumption. I'm not. No, if I said to you, then I'm sorry. No, you in person. But
Kojo, we need those projections to guide us.
We need
it needs to be good. But you say
so Kojo, what we should be doing here, and the reason you will see my normalcy would have been I'll be screaming at you and blaming you guys for everything, right? Today I'm calm. Why? Because we need to give confidence to the people that listen.
That's right.
What we are going to go through is going to be tough.
It is true.
Man, Jimmy, or don't go and do riots. We're trying to help you to understand why we are doing this. We are doing this because we need to kind of stabilize our country. That is why I haven't been I haven't been pushing you guys so much.
While you sleep, I think David did a good job. So you stay that place every day.
Let me read this comment to you quickly.
So let me say, I understand.
There's a comment here that you need to take before you go. It says that the MPP communicators are bold, pa.
Of course, we should be bold because we are the better management of the country. The Ghanaian people know that we are better. They don't have any belief in the NDC. They are just do propaganda. They don't have any belief in the NDC. So, let me just land on this one. What I'm saying is,
thanks for Filippo who sent in the comments, please. Thanks for watching. Keep sending more comments. Yes, land for me, please.
Yeah, what I'm saying, it is true that we are going to go through some struggling. Anytime we go to IMF, we are going to go through it. But we also have to, like you said, we have to give some confidence to Ghanaian people that there are things that we've also put in place to help out, not going too deep as people may assume. And like my brother said, I'm not disputing that those assumptions are good or bad. No, but sometimes, like we're going to the IMF, they say, "Oh, we can't even have the staff agreement. We can't even have it by now. We'll have it by next year, 2024." But look at us. We have those assumptions are good. We have to work hard as a government to be able to do the will of the people, and that is the most important thing. That's why we are voted in power, so we can have another 4 more years, going ruling the country. That's the only way the country can develop. This 8 years change of government will never help the Ghanaian people. The NDC come, they are going to destroy things. The Ghanaian people should have that confidence they had on us every time, so we can continue another 4 more years, and then we can rule this country and put it in the status where every Ghanaian will be proud of, or he or she as a Ghanaian. That's the most important thing we have to. The NDC, they don't have. All they are doing is just lamenting. No solutions. They don't have nothing. They're just lamenting. That's all. They still have one solution. None. Thank you.
All right. NDC, what solutions do you have? That is the question. We'll come back and interrogate that. Let's take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we want to talk about the issue, the problem, the conundrum of trying to run for the position of a member of parliament when you happen to hold a passport for another country. We'll be right back.
Yes.
All right, welcome back to the show. This is the Ghana Agenda. We've been on for almost 2 hours, and we are grateful for your time sticking with us, sending us comments. There's another comment. I believe Kojo, they are asking you, are you serious right now? Kojo, somebody's asking you, are you serious about what you said about NDC right now? But anyway, that is all good. We appreciate all the comments. For this segment, we want to talk about um, all right. So again, another comment say, how long do you expect Ghanaians to endure this crazy hardship? Um, I think the conditionalities, of course, will be with us for the next 3 years. So just fasten your belt. Sometimes there is the call to sacrifice for your country. Sometimes it's through war, and people will have to go to war and fight for freedom. Um, our grandfathers, they were so lucky. We didn't have to fight any big war in Ghana like that. But I remember that we had to fight the colonial masters and kind of kick them out. And we had heroes like my grandmother, Yasantewa and them, right? So it is a call on all of us again to tighten our belts. It's not going to be easy, but it has to be done so that we can bring our country back into um, where it belongs in respected countries out there and gain our pride back, like the finance minister says. It's just that I am happy because see uh, if we leave, we couldn't do it ourselves. And that should be an indictment on the NPP. The NPP said they had the men. We had a small financial, this is not a small problem anyway. We have a financial issue and they couldn't deal with it. They've been toying with it for as long. And, now their supervisors are in. The IMF is in. The IMF is going to put technical assistance. They are doing all kinds of diagnostics. They are doing tax diagnostic. They are doing revenue mobilization diagnostics. They are even looking at our statutory programs and doing diagnostics of those programs so that we properly control our expenses. Something we could have done on our own, but yeah, here we are. We're gonna get help, and we need help. Okay, let's look at when somebody wants to run for parliament in Ghana. Article 94 is where qualifications and eligibility requirements have been enshrined in our constitution. In Article 49, Section 2, it states that a person shall not be qualified to be a member of parliament if he A owes allegiance to a country other than Ghana. Okay. The rest I'm not going to read because the one we are very interested in is that allegiance piece, right? If you owe allegiance to another country other than Ghana, you are not eligible to run for parliament. So the question then is, when is that allegiance to another country determined? Is it determined before you get sworn in as a parliamentarian? Is it determined before you run as a candidate to for the seat of parliament, the seat you're contesting for, the constituency in which you're contesting? When exactly is that determined? The Supreme Court just actually made an interpretation to that regard, and what the Supreme Court seemed to be saying there is that the determination of that eligibility or that allegiance requirement, that determination happens at the time that you go and file your papers to run for the seat, not when you are being sworn in. That is what the Supreme Court has said. We haven't gotten the reasons for their ruling yet, but it is a clear, bright line in the sand, sort of. If you want to run for parliament, make sure by the time you file your papers that you have no allegiance. You have allegiance to only Ghana, but not any other country. This is in the case of Kwesi. Kwesi is a Canadian citizen who ran and won his election. I think before running, there was a case brought about his eligibility, which the EC got involved, the Electoral Commission itself got involved, went through the processes with him to verify that he has successfully renounced his citizenship before the elections, actually, before they, accepted for him to run. But after he ran and successfully won the seat, there's another person, I think it's called, I forgot the name, but it may be, yeah, forgot the name. Somebody took him to court again to challenge his qualification to run. Now, there's something that's in the criminal act that we'll talk about, but let's focus on this for now, guys. Let me take it from the NDC folk, the NDC guy. Wafa, Yao. Yeah, the Supreme Court is saying that let's strike this guy's name from our books to as somebody who was ever a parliamentarian. However, he has been part of certain decisions. Like for instance, the election of the Speaker of Parliament was a very close election, right? He took part in that election. Should that election be annulled as well? He took part in certain big decisions that were very close. So if we are striking him out of our books completely, I mean, how is this going to shake out? First of all, tell me how comfortable you are with this ruling, and then how you see this thing playing out, especially with regards to him already taking part in decisions that were consequential, like electing the speaker and etc.
Thank you very much. With Jesse Question, Honorable Jesse Question case, as we all know, like we are saying, the ruling that came back from the Supreme Court. For me, actually, we know the laws. Like you quoted the article for what permits somebody to go to Parliament, right? As a dual citizen, you have to renounce. Fine, we all know that law is there. Have you seen it? Right. And the law states that before you go to Parliament, you should renounce your if you owe any allegiance to any country, you should renounce it. Have you seen it? And Jesse Question did that. He applied for his renunciation of his Canadian citizenship. That was in October. He filed in November to become a member of Parliament for his constituency. That is Asinof in November. That is when the EC opened nominations. He was allowed to file for the position, and he received his, what do we call it, his renunciation letter in December, even before the election and before swearing in. So I see no reason why such a person who has received the letter before election, December 7th election, and also before he's swearing in as a parliamentarian. It is when you are sworn in that you become a parliamentarian. And it's when you win the election that you become a parliamentarian. When you file, you have not yet gone through the process yet. Amuzu, is that not how it is? And this man filed. He never went through. We never had the election before getting the letter. He had it before we went to election in December 7th. And before 7 January swearing in, he was having that letter. And even picked the letter, Amuzu, he picked it from the Canadian Embassy in Ghana. But the Supreme Court is telling us that because he filed in November, the EC opened nomination and he filed in November, he should be holding the certificate before filing, of which we all know the Supreme Court. All that they have done, that. For me, I don't have if not me alone, Ghanaians, they have conducted a survey, about 90% of Ghanaians don't have confidence in the Supreme Court because it is an MPP court, we know. And in matters like this, they rule in favor because they want to reduce the number of MPs that NDC have in Parliament, so that when they have their bullshit, they have their bills, they can just maneuver it through so that they can pass anything on us. And that is the reason why they did that. Because let me tell you one thing, Amuzu, what they have done, that they normally tell us that anytime the Supreme Court speaks is final. nobody should talk about it. Have you seen it? But you can look through this. Me, I'm not a lawyer, but looking through this with just common sense. The person election, he had it before 7th December election. He had it before he was sworn in as a parliamentarian. What shows that he is not qualified to become a parliamentarian there? Are you getting it? But the Supreme Court is telling us because it is a decision they have taken. You see, they were finding avenues to reduce our number so that we will not get the 137, 137. Anything they take there, then they can pass it like they used to do in 2016 when they were 169. Have you seen it? It's the same thing. Let me give you a typical example. When the whole Supreme Court was able to rule that birth certificate is not a primary document. That is why I saw that there is something wrong with those judges there. There is something wrong with them, all of them. I am saying it and I will say it with authority that there is something wrong with them. There is no country in this world where birth certificate is not a primary document.
What do you think?
Even passport. Like recently, Japan said it. If what I'm saying I'm right, I'm an end, I'm coming.
Okay,
because I'm an NDC saying it. Japan has also added his voice. That if you are asking somebody that passport is not a document that he can use to identify himself, then what again? The Supreme Court, the same Supreme Court, Amuzu, was able to rule that birth certificate is not a primary document. That's why I got to know that they have a. You see, the rule 7070 is a typical example of this. So if a Supreme Court, a whole Supreme Court, can rule that birth certificate is not a primary document just because they want to use that so that the government can maneuver, the EC can maneuver and bring anything to favor the sitting government. And that is the rule they brought. Tell me, Amuzu, or my brothers here, the MPP guys, they should mention one country in this world where birth certificate is not a primary document. They should let me know. And I want to find out from them where one country where birth certificate is not a primary document, and judges of their caliber were able to rule that birth certificate is not a primary. They have a problem. I will put it that way. And it's the same thing they are doing to JC Kwesi here. The person was able to acquire the document before election and before swearing in, he was holding it. But their ruling is telling us that on the day of filing in November, he should be holding the certificate before filing. Does that make sense? And they want us to accept because we have not been to the law school. They can maneuver. It's just common. Law is common sense. Have you seen it? And this government, what they are doing, a time will come, but the table will change anyway. You see, they have packed the court in such a way that anything you take there, it is MPP judges that will sit down. And anything they see you go there that will favor them, they will rule, they will bring the law. We should swallow it.
Okay. Have
you said it? So that rule there, what they have done to JC Kwesi, he said it. He said he leave it to their own conscience. Okay. And that's if I were to be him too, that's what I would have said. They just want to reduce our number. Okay. So with that allegiance, like we were talking about, we all know the rules, and the man has not faulted. He applied. He knows that if he owes allegiance to Canada, he can go to Parliament. So he applied for the certificate, and luckily for him, he had it. Amuzu, he had it before election, December 7th. He had it before swearing in January 7th. So what bars him out from not becoming a member of Parliament? Just because on the day of filing in November, he was not holding the certificate. That is the new law from the Supreme Court. And they want us to abide this because they have made their decision to reduce the number of the NDC. So that will be 135 or 136. Any law they want to bring, they can pass it through.
Okay. All right.
And this, if we will be running a country, you see, this is Akufo-Addo's government. Right. All the judges, they are just political judges, and they rule in favor of the sitting government. And they want us to accept this.
All right.
Time will change.
Okay. First, woo, that's a lot in there. And I want to kind of sound a little caution here that, we want to be careful when we make those statements, especially against judges of the Supreme Court. The court is the only court we have in Ghana, and we cannot denigrate them, we cannot ridicule them, we cannot call them names. They are appointed for life judges. They owe no allegiance to any political party. They are supposed to be impartial. They are learned. They've read a lot. They know a lot. They've seen all the precedents. You may not be familiar with the facts. We haven't seen the reasoning that the court has assigned. If Parliament disagrees with the ruling, Parliament can pass a law tomorrow and say, you know what? Section A of 94, Article 94, Section 2A of Article 94 should be amended to say your allegiance should be determined at the time you are sworn in. If that doesn't happen, then the interpretation of the court is what we go with. The court has latitude to do that. The law is not common sense. The law.
Yeah, the court has already ruled on that.
The court has already made a ruling. So we want to be respectful of the courts. I know even if your political party lost in a specific case, it is hard to accept that a judgment. Sometimes you kind of try to kind of rationalize all these things and put it in a common sense sort of analysis. This is not common sense, right? And we have to wait until we get their reasoning. If there's some flaw with their reasoning, we can ask them for a review. Otherwise, the court of the land has pronounced, and this is the law. If we disagree, Parliament can make specific pronouncement, and the Supreme Court cannot overrule Parliament. That will become a political question. They cannot interfere with parliamentary legislation. So I'm going to stop there. Efa, take it away.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I like it the way you put it. This, our attitude of verifying state institutions is bad. And NDC needs to stop that.
This is not anything. This is just one person. This is just one
ruling.
person expressing his frustration over a ruling.
Yeah, it is not like this ruling is only applicable to NDC. Okay? So you gotta get that. Now, so the question of, you see, it's a lot of things in here. First is what is allegiance? Okay? And how do you take naturalization now? We all know that for those of us that were not born in America, not born in every country, if you want to take
none of us
citizenship of that country, okay, you swear what we call the oath of allegiance.
Correct.
In the places where it is a republic, you swear to the state. If it is a monarch, you swear to the queen or the king. What is an allegiance? You swear that you will be there for that country no matter what. It is a very serious oath that you take. That when you are needed as a citizen, you are going to do everything to protect that place. You think swearing of an allegiance is a small thing? It is not a joke. And when time comes, say in times of war, if you are called on as a citizen and you can even be in prison for that. And that is number one. And number two, an application is not a thing itself. So you are telling me that you apply for employment and you start working. Where? You apply for a passport and you start traveling. You apply for a visa, then you move. Who told you that? Who told you that's how it works? If you apply for a visa, you must receive something that says approved or denied. And let me tell you, not all allegiance, when you want to denounce or renounce, is approved. Sometimes you are denied. Okay? Sometimes you are a citizen. You want to renounce it. The state can tell you this is denied until blah, blah, blah. You don't know these things. So sometimes let us not just come here for political purpose, just throw it out there. No, that's not how it works. Now, there was a case involving Zenator. So this question of when it applies has already been answered. Now the question to the Supreme Court, this is the second interpretation of that. It is even the third, because that the Musakunde has come. Now, the court was asked, when does it kick in that you can apply based on renunciation if you have the certificate? Because there is first the party nomination before the main EC elections. Okay? So the one guy had wanted to say that the party should have been the place where they should do the due diligence. And he went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court gave an interpretation that no, Okay, the party can do whatever they want. If they want to find out, it's up to them. But when it gets to the EC don't have every this thing to make sure that this person is clean. It is, there are a whole lot of things that makes you qualify, and it is the duty of the EC to ensure that. Okay, so when you are filing, you have to make sure that that time you have the approved certificate of renunciation, not an application of renunciation, because it can be denied. So let's get these things right. Okay.
So
We don't like it.
If I can come in, Amuzu, just give me 30 seconds to clarify something.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Come in.
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
Go ahead.
Listen, what he's saying right now, from what I said, Amuzu, if you read it, like he's saying, the court is saying that from the time he was applying to go, he should have it. Okay, if you are saying that if you apply, you can be denied. Fine. He wasn't denied. He received it before election, and he received it
No. He did not receive it.
So what is the problem there?
No,
What is the problem there?
No. We don't have facts.
I don't have what said. I read that thing. This is what the Supreme Court is saying.
Yeah, listen and don't misinform anybody. During the election,
let me come in quickly before
he didn't have it. Okay,
he had it. He had it before. During the election, he has received it before the election. He had it before the swearing in December.
Can you wait? No. He did not have it. He did not have it before he applied to the EC.
I'm telling you, he had it before election. He had it before swearing in.
He had it before the EC.
He has received the letter before the election, and he has received the letter before the swearing in.
You are not listening. No, swearing in, it doesn't matter.
Okay, guys, let me come in quickly on this one, and then if you can come on and finish your point. But you see, when I introduced this thing, I made it clear that because the Constitution did not clearly told us when we establish that breaking allegiance from another country. It just says that you can have an allegiance to another country. There's no bright line demarcation of when do we make that determination. So it is up to the Supreme Court to determine when that determination has to be made.
Yeah,
Hold on. Let me finish. You think that determination should be made right before the election. But the Supreme Court is saying no. It should be made before you file the application. We go with the Supreme Court. We don't go with you.
Yes.
Yeah, that is what I want to make Efa understand. Efa was saying, and I'm telling Efa that what they are saying, okay, but the man had an election and before swearing in,
that's a lie.
He had it. It's not a lie. It's not a lie.
That's a lie.
It's not a lie. I'm telling you, Amuzu, please. Amuzu, please wait. Amuzu, please wait. Let me make this thing clear to Efa. JC question had his renunciation letter before 7 December and before 7 January. Not it.
No. When he applied to the EC.
Let me. Okay, so let me ask you, what is the bright line? When do you have to prove that you have renounced your allegiance to another country? When should that happen?
When you have to prove that you have your allegiance to that, it is when the election is conducted or swearing in.
But the court
and he had it before these two processes. So what is the filing for the form? What does it need? Why do you need that to file? Why do you need that to file filing for that?
Guys, let me do my work.
You see that let's Amuzu. Let me make a point clear here. They are only trying. You see, they are trying to bend the law, and we all understand. They are bending the law in order to favor the city government.
Stop making this irresponsible statement.
Me, I will say it.
No,
they are bending it, and they have been doing this since.
Okay, guys, you are messing the show up. Okay, one person at a time. Okay.
Yes. The fact is that Amuzu, what I'm trying to say is that you can see.
You've made your
Afayao, please,
Yes,
you are
Yeah,
messing.
you're done.
Please slow down. And
I'm
then
done.
if I hold on,
Okay.
like guys, take you from me, right? I want to bring you in one at a time. Please help
Okay.
me do my job, okay?
Amozo, today you have to sleep when you slept again, no? Today you exceptional, I swear to God.
Yeah. So Afayao, I think my question is, I think the Supreme Court disagree with you. They think that you should. So I guess my question to you is, what is the basis of your determination that the time you establish your allegiance is being taken away from, or you've cut from your allegiance to another country? What is the basis of you determining that it has to be during the time you're sworn, you get to be sworn in, or during the day of the election? What are you based? What document is giving you that idea?
Now, what I'm saying is that Amuzu, I'm telling you what the Supreme Court have brought about. They say they are pretending as if they don't know. They
The
are
Supreme
saying
Court.
that
Uh-huh.
The Supreme Court is saying, and they are not going to bring any interpretation besides that. They are saying that on the day of Mr. Jechi question filing for the form to become an MP at Asin North in
Uh-huh.
November, that was
Uh-huh.
when the EC open nomination, right?
Uh-huh.
He should be holding the certificate before. This is what
Okay.
the court is saying. And if have we had election? No. Was he going to be sworn in?
Okay.
No.
Stop there. Let me continue to ask you this question. Since the Constitution did not say exactly when that is, if the court says it is a specific day, that is the day it is. The
That is
court
why
knows.
I'm telling you that. That is why I'm telling you that because they want to reduce our number. That is why they are using
No,
that.
no, no,
They
no.
just
Oh,
That
want
you
to
was
can't,
not
you
the
reduce
can't,
our
you
first
can't,
number.
you
time.
can't do that. You
That
Nothing
can't do
was
that.
else.
not the first time the
The
That
court will
is
provide
it.
their reason. The
That
court
is
will tell
why
you.
they did that.
The
We
court
all
will
know.
provide their
Just
reason
that
once
people
you
don't want
see.
to say. They want to reduce our number. That's it.
Amozo,
Well, you apologize for that, so you don't get
Amozo,
pulled for
Amozo,
contempt.
please, can I
Now
ask
the
Ofaya
court.
one question? Can I
Hold
ask
on, hold on,
Ofaya
hold
one
on, hold
question?
on.
Oh, please.
Let's Afayao, you might want to retract that word before you get pulled out for contempt, because if you really want to see the reason the court provided, wait for the judgment. Right now, you are speculating, scandalizing the court. On this
Oh.
show, we do not approve that, so don't do that.
All right.
Make
Can
sure.
I just
I'm,
ask one
I'm
question to Ofaya?
Amuzu.
You know,
I understand, but I'm not scandalizing them. But I'm saying the fact based on what they have brought. It's going to be the same thing. They
what
won't
fact?
bring any report different from what we have read. It's the same thing they will bring.
Ofaya, can I ask
Okay,
you one
I've
question,
warned you.
please?
If you get pulled, I'm not
Ofaya,
responsible.
can I ask
Anyway,
you a
no, don't
question,
bring
please?
Kojo, let's
No, no,
move
I'm
on.
just
Don't bring a
asking him.
fire in again. We've sorted this out, right?
It's not about what he just said. I was just asking him a question. If you allow me to do so, I will do it. If
On
not,
this offer a fast time, why don't you wait for your time and then you use
no,
your time
because
to
you
ask
he
questions?
was saying I just wanted to ask a question, but that's fine. You can go ahead.
Yeah, when you come to your
Okay.
time, just ask him. If I wrap up for me so we can close, please.
Yeah, so what I want to say is that, you see, if something is not clear, that's why we go to the Supreme Court for interpretation.
Uh-huh.
So when they interpret, and if you think that is not, you know, to your satisfaction, you go back there and you do a review. And
Right.
if they want, they're going to do a review for you, or they're not. But I'm telling you, that was not the first time they've stated that, that thing should start. They didn't start from question. No, they started with a case. You can go check it. It was I forget. It was former.
The, the,
Um,
the guy who died, one of your MPP ministers,
there was a regional
Asaka,
minister, MPP man. That
Abu Abu
as a,
Sakande.
no,
Abu
I
no, no, not
forget
Sakande.
Abu
the guy's
Sakande. Abu Sakande's
name.
case
There's this
is
one.
is a second one.
Okay.
So
so there's
um,
a precedent, right?
so the
Senior
interpretation was
minister
that
in the Akufo
at the
administration.
time
What is his name?
at the time of filing with the EC, you
JH
should
Mensa.
have your
JH
certificate.
Mensa. It was a
Yeah,
JH
exactly.
Mensa case.
Yes. So at the time of filing with the, you should have. So in the questions case, the Supreme Court only affirmed its earlier decision. Okay. Now, what it is telling you that, this thing has become a thorny issue with Abu Sakande. So the political party should, we MPP, we've been doing that too. The people that are coming from here, we go and check. We touching them and we go and check. We don't let them come in and then later on they go and do these things. So instead of you putting this blame on on the system in making it this thing for everybody, this interpretation applies to everybody.
Okay.
The parties should learn and make sure that you do this, you do that, and do that. Now,
we gotta so
on the certificate that you are filing, they ask you, are you do you owe allegiance to another country? Then you're gonna tick.
yes.
Okay. Do you have this? Then you're gonna say yes, yes, yes. And then finally you say that you are signing this under this thing of perjury.
And
That
yeah,
when this and this is found not to be true, you are going to be this. Let me tell you, there is nowhere that an application is taken as the certificate, is taken as the thing. You apply for something and you think that you have gotten it, it doesn't happen anywhere because you can
okay,
be denied.
okay,
There's not a single thing that you apply for that is automatic that you're gonna get.
yeah.
So
I think you made your points.
let's say he was denied.
If
Okay,
you made your
so
point,
that
you made
is
your point. You made your point on that, right?
exactly.
Don't
So
deny.
going forward, we all don't like it. We don't think that when people take this thing that they don't owe, but that is the interpretation the Supreme Court has given to the law. Now
And
they
that's the
are
law.
attempt to amend it until such a time that it's amended and ascended to this is what we have, and this is what everybody should obey until the Supreme Court, maybe out of whatever, changes its interpretation. Let the political party don't be adamant and say reduction of number. Of course, if we have means of reducing number, we went to Jomoro, and Jomoro, when the Jomoro went in favor of you, that one, hey, it is not the same
Okay,
Supreme Court,
okay.
huh? Or it's not the same High Court.
Let's bring in Kojo on this one. And Kojo, see the thing is, like if I said, I'm just gonna echo that one more time. If the Supreme Court says it is A, then that A is the law. Whatever the Supreme Court says becomes the law. Um, Now my struggle here is that this Supreme Court's ruling has triggered sort of a by-election. There has to be a by-election in that area. Now, Quasin is qualified. And if Quasin goes to that and wins it, then we are back to square whatever. So the whole point that you're trying to reduce your numbers really doesn't matter here, right? Because Quasin can go. It depends on, I guess, the issue now is how quickly can we get the election there to actually be
Happen.
run, right?
I think it's
So
about 3 weeks or whatever it is. No, I mean this thing is very simple. Ovaya, please, I understand. We all have emotions when this thing happens, right? But we also have to be law-abiding citizens, and we should also make sure this thing has a precedent. If it doesn't, then we can say there's none of that, right? Even that, there's always a precedent that are being set up for other things to follow up. So, like you said, Amuzu said already, that was the question I was going. Was it a precedent? And it is. And you said about J.H. Mensah. So there is something. And so it was just affirmation of what the court had already done, and then it just reaffirmed it. And like you said, my brother Ifa said, he said, before you even think, it's not like, oh, I am applying for it. You have the certificate in hand showing that, yes, as at the time that I'm filing to be a member of parliament, I have my certificate that I've renounced my citizenship of whatever allegiance I have with other countries, right? And that is something that you should have in hand, not as I'm doing it and I'm in the process of doing it. So that's one thing we have to do. We just have to have that. It's very painful when second day thing happened. We all were not happy with it, but mostly we are politicians, and especially with these numbers coming in, everybody's will be thinking about something, which is, I mean, thinking that alarm is nothing wrong with it, but let us know, verify the court or our state institution. We should be very careful because this statement has always been made. If you remember, your former chairman, Kwame J, said there's so many ways to kill the cat, and it's not doing or arguing well for the country. We should respect institutions. We should respect the rules that comes out of it. Other than that, I don't think this is an burger. As of now, he's qualified. He has the citizenship re-announced, right? So now, if he has to fight, he can go. You can present him as your candidate again to go for re-election, and then let's see what happens. And I understand it. The motions, you have to calm down, please. Let's make sure that we respect our institutions. That's all.
okay, quickly, just to say that as to whether this is an affirmation of a prior precedent, we don't know that because we don't have the court ruling. Um,
I'm
Now,
not that because what you said was the reason why I said you talk about J.H. Manson's thing. If was it not the same thing that happened? If it
well,
did,
so the
that's
facts may be a little different.
different.
I don't
Okay.
know So
I will agree with you. Let's wait for
right. So
for the
presidents usually would be fat for fat,
exactly.
and the rules
I
apply.
agree.
So
There's
we
no
have to wait for the ruling. That
yeah,
way, I
wait.
hate kind of jumping ahead of judges and trying to make conclusions about how they came to a specific decision. Anyway,
I'm can
um,
I just say this thing, right? I
sure.
think one thing too that we all have to do is
Mhm,
as Ghanaians, first and foremost, we are Ghanaians first before any
mhm,
political party comes in. But it has always been this since 1992. Both our political parties, we
uh-huh,
are two state institution without
mhm.
merit, and then we use the same institution. There should be a time that we have to have a line drawn in between them. We should respect and give those state institutions to do their work. That will be the only way that we can move forward as a country in
Right.
order to thrive.
Right. I mean, we know our system is politicized. So is this everywhere. In the United States, the judges are conservative, some are liberal judges. But at the same time, they cross
Not
aisles and make
for the
decisions.
president. If there are
Mhm.
vacancies, the president have to do his duty. It's not the fault of the president to appoint all these judges. There are vacancies. They're supposed to fill them. So once they
I
fill,
understand that. I understand that.
irrespective
I'm
of
just saying that.
whoever is government, it is what it is.
I'm just saying that. Look,
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm not saying anything against you. I'm just
yeah, there were cases in Ghana where Rawlings appointed all the judges, but the judges
yeah,
ruled against him. So it's not a matter of who appoints what. The judges
exactly.
really do a fine job and go through the law. The law
That,
is
the law is the law.
laid out. I
Mhm.
mean, if you disagree with the law, pass a legislation in parliament that specifically says when
There,
we should actually establish allegiance.
there have
Otherwise,
been members of parliament of NDC and MPP who have been appointed to the Supreme Court and all of that, and they do their job as judges, not political party affiliations. So we should
okay,
respect.
yeah, we should respect that. Okay, let's do final words. And we've been here for I think 2 hours 27 minutes. Very grateful for all the time, and as usual, the spirited contributions today. Let's start from Ofayo. Ofayo, I know today we hit you so hard. I've helped the MBP boys in punching you left and right, but you know, you heard yourself together in a very professional manner, and I appreciate it. Tell us your last words. We've talked about two significant pieces of impactful issues today. The one to deal with um, the IMF, bailouts, the extended credit facility, and all the ramifications that would impose on our people, and how our people should come down. Life is gonna get tough, but they need to understand that it is necessary for us going forward. There are better future. The future is gonna be bright. In 2025, we are projected to go back to about 5% GDP a year. This year is gonna be about 1.5%. 2023 might be around 2%, but we are gonna steadily climb up. So we need to have that courage and focus on a better future as we go through these painful times. What are your last words on that, and also the conundrum of running for parliament as someone with multiple allegiance?
Thank you very much. Let me start with the first one with the IMF bailout issue. We all know, like we've spoken about it already. I may say we are where we are today because of the bad management of the economy of our brothers, the IFA and his government, the MPP. Why am I saying this? You see, in 2016, they will say we went to IMF. Fine, we went to IMF. We went to IMF with just one oil field. We managed the economy with just one oil field. So when we're leaving government, we are able to. Amuzu, am I on air? Hello?
Yes,
Always,
yes, yes,
Okay,
you
always,
are.
I can hear
always,
you. I can
You
hear
always.
you.
Okay. Thank you very much. We before we were leaving government, we were able to add two oil fields to the one we had, making three, and revenue have doubled. Amuzu, when we were leaving government, we were harvesting about 100,000 barrels a day. When they took over from us, we are added 10 Sankofa and Jubilee, making three oil fields. They were harvesting 200,000 barrel oil field. That tells you that revenue have doubled. That is it. And so why do you go about borrowing again? And they have stated it clear. Baumia told us that I work in Bank of Ghana. The money is here. We don't have to borrow. It takes only a reckless government to be borrowing. What have changed when you came into government and they started borrowing? Have you seen it? Yet sikaso now swear comedy sikano yet so na ene sikana jwane akoyin. You see, but when as soon as they came, Baumia said it too. I went in Bank of Ghana. The money is here. It takes only lazy government to be borrowing. Eslo also told us if it is because of only borrowing, then my 18 years child can rule Ghana. Amuzo, I think you are aware of this. Eslo also said it. And they have the men. They have the men. The men have come. You see, at the end of the day, even they don't even have women. They have only station boys. They said they have economic management team, of which Baumia outdoor them when they took over. Alan Tremantin, Alaji Baumia, Osafu Mafo, what and what, and you name them. What a solid economic management team. Today, the solid economic management team have become an ice. Today, as I speak, we have somebody appointed from Kenya to supervise Bank of Ghana under the watch of the so-called solid economic management headed by Alaji Baumia. We are in IMF.
What is it supposed to mean when you say Kenya?
Kenya is from Africa. They should have been appointed. They were expecting maybe somebody to come from America or something. Just Kenya, Africa.
Okay,
that is what I'm saying. I'm saying Kenya because I'm putting that stress on it because the person is not even coming from. He's coming from is coming from an African continent.
Okay, hold on. Hold on. It is important that we don't disrespect the talents of a fellow African. Okay?
I'm not okay. Let me put that. Let me lay
because
emphasis on that.
Baumia once helped another African country.
I'm coming.
The World Bank
I like Amuzu. Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm not disrespecting. Let me put that as an emphasis.
Okay.
Let me lay emphasis on what he has said. Baumia was sent to Zimbabwe and they sacked him. He was sacked because he went and mismanaged that thing. You keep on mentioning he went to Zimbabwe to manage the economy and he mismanaged it and he was sacked. So let me continue. So with the Amuzu, with the solid economic management team, of which he even tried to mock at us. You remember he asked that question. Who knows the economic management team of the NDC? He questioned that day. He said that thing. Let me tell you, with Setepe and Ato Forcing and what do you call it? Fifi Kwete, their management is now 10 times better than what we have seen under the solid economic management team headed by Alaji Baumia. It has become now, it is an ice. You have taken it to IMF with 3 oil fields. NDC had only 1. Look at the quantum of revenue they have received. Amuzu, no government have ever gotten that in terms of taxes. They are the blessing of about 500 billion from taxes. And look at the borrowing that they have done from 120 to 600 billion. Today we are in IMF. They came out telling us we are not going today, we are not going tomorrow. We have the men, we have the men. No, Mahama said it, they don't even have station boys. They are all station boys, sorry. They don't even have women. Because what they have said and where they have taken the country to now, nobody expected this. They have taken the country 20 years backwards. That is why we are in IMF. You can imagine Mahama had 3 oil fields. Nobody will go to IMF. The quantum of taxes they have received, money 500 billion. And they have nothing to show. They borrow for consumption. You borrow to pay 125 ministers. You borrow to pay 2,000 presidential staffers. Amuzu, I have said this thing somewhere. You know the plaster house alone have 2,000 workers. And these people, 10 of them, Amuzu, their salary can pay 100 teachers in Ghana. Why wouldn't you go to IMF? You borrow and you are using it to pay salary. So all the things they are saying, Amuzu, none of it is true about COVID, Ukraine, and Russia. It's never here nor there. They have mismanaged the economy. They have squandered all the money. Look at 2016, 2017 up to now. Auditors report 36 billion went into government pocket. They have stolen all the money. Why wouldn't you go to IMF? During our time, Amuzu, NDC time, 8 years, money that got lost in, what do you call it? Through auditors report was 3.5 billion. I'm not saying it's good though. Even if it's 1 billion, it's not good. But comparatively, this government said they were coming to eschew corruption. They have ended up breeding corruption. They are breeding it, and they are swimming in it, and you name it. 125 corruption, this thing.
Okay.
Why won't
Thank
we
you
go
so
to
much.
IMF?
Thank
Have
you.
you seen it? So
Thank you.
all that we are going through, the hardship is through the mismanagement, the reckless borrowing from Ken Ofuriatta just because he's going to make money for himself.
Thank you. Thank you.
Parochial
Thank you.
interest.
Thank you. Thank you.
Parochial interest led to this gargantuan borrowing, and we have borrowed from 120 to 600 billion. They recently went for 710 billion.
Thank you.
Before
Thank
the
you. Thank you.
IMF
Thank
money
you.
is coming, that
Thank
debt
you.
will be added again. If
All right.
and your people, when are we going to pay it?
Okay.
The
Thank
country
you so
have been taken backwards 200 years. So when we come, let's face the realities. You find defending, fine, you are good in defending, all right. But if we want Ghana, really we want our country, we want the betterment of our country, you should bow your heads in shame. Because
Okay.
all that you
All right.
said about the NDC, when the NDC was rather on track with President Mahama, building infrastructure with the little he had, about 90 billion, he can show you all the hospitals, can show you all the market, all the Terminal 3, and
Okay.
everything. You have
All right.
borrowed 600 billion. Take
Okay, you made the
120
point.
from
You
it,
made the
500
point.
billion. You
You
can
made the
only show
point.
a toilet and poly tank.
Thank you so much.
So
Thank you
next
so much.
year
Thank
is
you
on
so
the
much.
is in the corner. Ghanaians, open your eyes and let's kick this government out. This hardship they are bringing, Amuzu, is you and I, because don't forget that every 3 months they are going to increase your electricity and water. 3 months, that's
Yeah.
one of the conditions.
Okay.
Where
Thank
have you
you.
seen it? Already what you have, you can pay. And they are increasing it every 3 months. Salary will be the same. Inflation, we know all this money they are going to bring now, Amuzu, they are only going to chop it. It won't do anything. We are not
All
going
right.
to see anything.
All right.
It's
Thank
going
you
to
so
bring
much. We
more
gotta move on.
hardship,
We
and
gotta move on.
Ghanaians are rather going to be buried
Kojo,
in the hole that they
take
have
it
dug for us.
over. This guy
We'll
is
be buried.
all right.
And I
Thank you
end
so
it
much.
here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oh, my brother, Wafayao Neverland.
Fire.
Thank you so much, Wafayao. All right. Kojo. Kojo,
All right. So
give us your last words. Please make it brief so we can get out of here.
yeah, I would
It's
just
been a long day.
you see,
Yeah.
there's one thing that we all have to concerning about the IMF deal. You know, my brother just lamented and lamented and lamented.
Let
What
it be
I
your last word.
Yeah,
So
of course, I'm using my last word. I have to rebut what is it. People are listening. You know,
okay.
I
Okay.
lamented, and then you talk about all sorts of things. If it increases being on tariffs and all of that, yes, it is true. It's going to happen. But this is a 3-year program. Whichever government comes, that same hardship is going to come. But the Ghanaian people should allow this. We are the ones that can take you out of this. We have the men to do that. We still do have the men to do that. And I just said this. Let me say this. You see, this thing that we went through is just that I'll link that because it's my last word. I can say whatever I want to say. I'll link that to our internal election. If we are able to do our internal election well, if we have the numbers in parliament, the E level would have passed easily. We would have implemented it. We would not be going to IMF program because we didn't have the numbers. So that is the cost of everything that will go to IMF. Beside that, we are in the IMF now. We are going to put all the programs that we outlined to make sure that we follow the IMF program. And let me say this: the NDC complaining. Election is about future. It's about the future. It's not about the past. Ghanaian people are looking forward to see something new. What do you have? You go back to 2016, Etaka, we built it. That things are not going to, it's already built. Government is continuously. So if the NDC have any policies beside what they've already done, we are going to compare and contrast what we have done in 8 years and the 8 years of the NPP. We are going to do that. But what is the future? What do we have for the Guinean people moving forward? Those are the most fundamental questions that we have to ask ourselves. You understand? So everybody can say whatever it is in them. And then I am so disappointed in the NDC. Talking about station. So now you are denigrating station boys and you are expecting those people to vote for you. You know, you sit on that. This is a station boy. So station boys don't have any mind, right? We just have the opportunity to sit on this thing and and speak our mind and our opinions. But there are people who are sitting at their station boy. They might not just be a station boy. Circumstances have led them to be that. But you're sitting here saying station boys, wow. And then you go to the same people and ask them to vote for you. I'm sorry, if you're listening to me, if you're a station boy, this is what the NDC is telling you. You don't have any mind of yourself. You don't know anything. That's what they are trying to tell you. And lastly, let me say with this citizenship, I will indulge all my Ghanaian people. When we travel outside, yes, you can't have, like we say in Accra, if you have any political ambition, please, you can still have your permanent resident and do other things and stay. And then once you're ready to go back to your home, you go and do it. We don't think, oh, let me just enjoy the goodies over here. Then all of a sudden, I'm going back to go take from the ordinary Ghanaian people who have stayed there, tall, have never traveled before, don't have anywhere to go beside the Ghana. And then you think, oh, let me just go in there and go take it from them. If you think you have a political ambition, please and please and please go out there, work your ass off, go back, and then go help your country. Don't think you're going to enjoy both sides, and then we just come, then we'll give you that permission to do that. No. And
All
please,
right.
Ghanaians, I am begging you, the MPP is the solution. The NDC had no solution whatsoever to offer Ghanaian. It's just lamenting propaganda, no solutions. Let us continue, give us another 4 years mandate, we will take us from this thing that we all got to do. Due to the pandemic of COVID-19 and the Russian war, we know this too shall pass, as the president always said. And we'll take the Ghanaian people to the paradise that they always want. Thank you very much, Amuzu. And again, thank you, Amuzu. Today, you've been exceptional. I have to congratulate you. Stay where you stay. I'll have to call Davy and say, let this man stay where he stays, so because today you have been exceptional, man. And thank you always. Thank you for the listener. Thank you, Ofaya. Thank you, my boss, Ifa himself. We'll meet next week. Thank you very much.
Thank you. So Afa, it's take us home, my brother. Oh, we just lost Afa. Hopefully he comes back and then give us his last words. All right, guys. So let me take a quick break while I wait for Afa. If he doesn't come, I'll just wrap the program up. We'll be right back. All right, Afa, take us home since you're back. Can you hear me, Afa? Can you hear me? Give us your last word. Let's go. Afa Mayo. Mr. Afa, which of you can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Sorry.
All right,
Can you hear
no
me?
problem. Take us home, man.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry. My in this thing. Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much for today. Ofaya has made a lot of statements that are not true. In 2016, Mahama had told us that the banking sector was in distress and that needed action to be taken. He didn't take it, so we had to come in and take it. He told us that the money, he has chewed everything to the bone. That's what he told us. He told us that we experienced the worst doomsaw in our history as a country, collapse a lot of businesses and stuff like that. Okay, but what are we seeing right now? Now the economy has been so good that look at the sort of weddings NDC people are having. Look at the sort of campaign NDC people are running, to the point where the presidential aspirant is able to gather all these millions of Ghana cedis, millions of dollars to run a campaign. And you sit here and you say, see, I've watched here. God has seen you. What have we seen? We've seen people that on radio are telling us they haven't seen anything. But what about the MPs? Now, NDC MPs have to go to the Jubilee House to go and thank the president for the unprecedented development in their places. What are you talking about? Just recently, you saw your people all over the world in their constituencies campaigning on the development of this government. What are you talking about? You can throw dust to the good people of Ghana, but when the day of reckoning, So when him said the bosom to it, yeah, Obeka when you say yes. So you will say the speak truth. You will speak the truth. There is major development going on in your places. Major development and NDC strongholds that have never been seen before. Your
Wow.
MPs are testifying to it. Your people are testifying to it.
Hmm.
And what are we? Well, you see, what does that tell us? You compare that to when Mahama and Mills were in power. Our people had to beg and beg and beg, and you people told them that we will show you how power lies. We will starve you of development to the point where the people will know that you are not fit to be MP, so others will come. But look at us. So who would you vote for? Who? Offer you. Come and join us so we can develop Ghana. Come and join us. Join us as an opponent. You can speak the good things of what is happening in the country. Muhunu hwee, muhunu hwee nso da. Deep down, they go there and they see the development, and then they will come and read you and lie.
Ena,
Onyame bɛkyerɛ,
ena,
2024,
ena, Alentra,
2024,
Alent,
December 7th,
A-
wo ɔfayaw,
Al-
ɔfayaw tobo, wode atobo, ɛnyɛ alankyerɛmanten, UMP. Alankyerɛmanten is only talking about the general thing the government are admitting. But I'm talking about UMP.
me,
What I said,
Alentra,
UMP. What I said. So the long and short of it, is for what we are saying is that when it comes to the government, unless the COVID-19 and the challenges we have, this is the MPP. We have the man, and we are the people
oh,
that can really, really bring the development Ghanaians.
you
That's
don't
why
even have stage.
IMF saw us, and then they granted us a challenge. Challenge Ghana for that we know you, especially with these people. So let us give you the this thing you need so that you can go about your duties and stuff like that. Amuzu, thank you very much. 2024, Amuzu of Aya, all of you are voting for MPP to continue with the good work. Thank you. God bless.
Over my dead body. Anyway, hey, this is a good show today. I've enjoyed myself. Of course, you guys came very prepared, and I'm grateful. Thanks to all the viewers and listeners. If it is Saturday, you know what time it is. It's Ghana Agenda time. I am excited. We have this program in place because all of a sudden we have supervision in Jubilee slash Flaxter House. We have supervision in the Bank of Ghana. So they're not printing money excessively and running inflation through the roof. We have supervision at the GRA. So that's, they put together tax policies that would actually boost our revenue generation to 18% of GDP. We would be on track to actually pulling ourselves out of the trouble we have gotten ourselves into. Really appreciate everybody for joining the show today. If you're trying to run for parliament in Ghana, please, the Supreme Court says you have to renounce your citizenship, have that certificate in your hand before you fill the forms up for that election. Again, my name is Alfred Amozu. Thanks for watching. We'll be back next week. If it is Saturday, you know what time it is. Please share the link. Tell a friend to tell a friend. It's the Ghana Agenda, and it is a very interesting show. Each week, we are here with the best. We'll be back.